when you talk about your IGST Act, the main objective of IGST Act actually is split into two. One, to find out the place of supply, therefore finding out whether it is interstate supply or intra-state supply. Secondly, the second objective is to distribute the IGST revenue. Because IGST revenue will go to the central government, then 50% will be retained by it, and how to give to the state government. Now, we are trying to understand three steps involved in the first process. What are the three steps involved in the first processes? First, you need to find out location of supplier. Then you have to find out place of supply. Finally, you have to find out nature of supply. First, location of supplier, then your place of supply, and finally you are going to find out your step 1, step 2 is place of supply, and finally you are going to find out nature of supply. When you want to find out location of supplier, how to find that location of supplier and even location of recipient is actually categorically given in your section 2 of IGST Act. This entire discussion is all based on your IGST Act. Then place of supply. Place of supply for goods is discussed in section 10 and section 11, and for services it is discussed in section 12 and section 13. For goods, section 10, section 11, and for services it is section 12 and section 13. And finally, when you're talking about nature of supply, that is discussed in section 7, section 8, section 9. So, when you talk about your three-step process for finding out your nature of supply, when I tell nature of supply, it means whether it is interstate supply or intrastate supply is found out by nature of supply. So, first step is location of supply, second step is place of supply, then evaluate both, then finally find out whether it is interstate supply or intrastate supply. Right? This is a three-step process to find out your nature of supply, intrastate supply or interstate supply. First, we'll see the first step. How to find out the first step. Before telling location of supplier or location of recipient, you should find who's supplier and who's recipient. Supplier is a very general definition. Generally, all the definitions that we are discussing here is from IGST Act, but this part of the definition is taken from your CGST Act. Supplier and recipient. Supplier means a person who's supplying the goods or services. Includes his agent. Agent is normal thing. Who's supplying it. But recipient does not mean the person who's receiving the goods or services. Recipient means a person who's liable to pay the consideration. Who's liable to pay the consideration. It doesn't mean who's receiving the goods or services. If a company is taking its employees on vacation, supplier is the hotel where the employees are staying, recipient is the company, not the employees who are getting those services. Recipient means who's liable to pay the consideration. Who's liable to pay the consideration. Yes, in a case where there is no consideration. When there is no consideration? In Schedule 1 cases, correct? When there is no consideration? When you are talking about your Schedule 1 cases. Then recipient means the person who is receiving the goods, receiving the services. Then recipient means the person who is receiving the goods, receiving the services. Supplier means person who is supplying the goods, services. Recipient does not mean receiving the goods, services. Recipient means the person who is liable to pay consideration if there is consideration. If there is no consideration, then recipient means the person who is receiving the goods or receiving the services. Read the full term. The person to whom the goods are delivered or made available, or to whom the possession or the use of goods is made available. In simple language, the person who receives the goods. The person to whom the service is rendered. In simple language, person who receives the service. So recipient, where there is consideration, means the person who is liable to pay consideration. Where there is no consideration, it means the person who receives the goods or receives the service. Now, once you find out who is supplier and who is recipient, you will be in a position to find out what is the location of the supplier and what is the location of the recipient. Now all these definitions are taken from your IGST Act. Location of supplier, location of recipient, fixed establishment, etc. All these are taken from your IGST Act. Now when you talk about location of supplier, the same is the definition of location of recipient. Wherever there is a term supply, you replace the term receipt. You replace the term, you change the word as received. For supplier it is supply. For recipient it is received. Same definition, same understanding. Where a supply is made or received at a registered place of business, that is your head office. That is your head office. It is location of such registered place of business. Where it is made from another place, which is a fixed establishment. What do you mean by fixed establishment? It is nothing but a branch. It is place other than the principal place of business, that is place of business, where there is sufficient degree of permanence, which means it is permanently there. It is not for temporary purposes, and there are sufficient human and technical resources. In simple language, branch. In CGST Act, this place of business is actually called as principal place of business, and this fixed establishment is actually called as additional place of business. Right now, why you don't use these terms? Reason is additional place of business can be there in the state, but now you can have your main place of business in Delhi, but you can have a fixed establishment in Coimbatore. Now they cannot be called as principal place of business and additional place of business because they are in different states. Each of those places will be principal place of business for that state. Therefore, they change the language as the main place of business and fixed establishment. Now assume that I am the supplier of services located in multiple places. I have my branch in Delhi, I have my branch in Bangalore, I have my branch in Coimbatore. Delhi, Bangalore and Coimbatore. Now when I have my branch in Delhi, Bangalore and Coimbatore, from where I am supplying my services, the place from where I am going to supply my services will be, it might be Delhi, it might be Bangalore, it might be Coimbatore, whichever is more directly concerned. Actually, all these 3 points are utter time pass. You can remember this as step 1. For finding out location of supplier of service, it is neither the registered place of business, the main place of business, nor the fixed establishment. It is that place which is more directly concerned. If my team of Delhi is giving that service, what is the location of supplier of service? Delhi. If my team of Bangalore is giving that service, what is the location of supplier of service? Bangalore. If my Coimbatore team is giving that service, what is the location of supplier of service? Coimbatore. Which is more directly concerned, most directly concerned or connected. It is neither the main registered place of business nor the fixed establishment, whichever is most directly concerned. I'm repeating the example. I have my branches in Delhi, Bangalore, Coimbatore, and I'm supplying a service. What is the location of supplier of service? That branch, be it Delhi or be it Bangalore or be it Coimbatore, which is most directly concerned. Place of business of fixed establishment which is most directly concerned. That is the supplier. If I tell my Coimbatore team is going to supply that service, my location of supplier of services Coimbatore, and I may take the help of 1 or 2 members of Bangalore also, but still, what is most directly concerned? Coimbatore. Location supplier of services Coimbatore, which is most directly concerned. What if I tell that I don't have any place of business or fixed establishment? Is it possible for me to provide service without a place of business or fixed establishment? Yes. Service sector, it is possible. I may not have any place of business or fixed establishment. Say for example, commission agent or a faculty. They may not have any place of business or a fixed establishment. In that case, you don't have any place of business or fixed establishment. In that case, what will be the answer? We're talking about usual place of residence. So step number 1 is if you have a place of business or fixed establishment, it is that place of business or fixed establishment which is most directly concerned. If you don't have that, it is usual place of residence. Usual place of residence. Are you guys clear with this understanding? Are you guys clear with this understanding? By the way, if you look at things carefully, we are only talking about location of supplier of service. Same thing, recipient of services, we replace the term supply with receipt is location of recipient of service. We are not concerned with this, but we are focusing on location of supplier of service. Now one doubt should come, what are the 3 steps which were involved? Location of supplier, location of supplier. But strictly speaking, what we have seen is only location of supplier of service. Location of supplier of goods is not defined. Location of supplier of goods is not defined. What do you mean by location of supplier of goods? It is not defined. It's not defined. Then what is location of supplier of goods? No. It is the place from where you give instruction to move the goods. Supposing there is Mr. A in Tamil Nadu. He is selling the goods to Mr. B of Maharashtra, who's in turn selling the goods to Mr. C of Delhi, who's in turn sending the goods to Mr. D of Karnataka. It's goods, right? Now the first, there are totally how many contracts? How many contracts? No, 4. There's no connection between A and D. There are how many contracts? Supply 1, supply 2, supply 3. Clear? Clear? Now, what if Mr. B tells that directly send the goods from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka? Rather, will not make it more complicated. We'll make it more simple. We'll talk about only A, B and C so that you understand the point. We'll not bring D and answer would be the same only. I'll just make it more simple so that you understand the crux of the issue. Mr. B in Maharashtra and Mr. C in Karnataka. So how many supplies are there? There are 2 supplies. There are 2 supplies. But Mr. B of Maharashtra tells that directly send the goods from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka. So supply are 2, but movement is only 1. By the way, A and C does not have any. A and C does not have any contract. Where is the location of supplier of goods for the first contract? Where is the location of supplier of goods for the first contract? For the first contract, supplier is who? Tamil Nadu. A of Tamil Nadu. So his location is Tamil Nadu. Where is the location of supplier of goods for the second contract? The goods never entered Maharashtra and left Maharashtra. But the control of moving the goods from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka was given from Maharashtra. So where is the location of supplier of goods? It is the place from where the instruction is given to move the goods. It may not be physically moving from that. If this will be understood only if you focus on Mr. B. Mr. A is very simple. Focus on Mr. B. Mr. B is selling the goods to Mr. C and his location of supplier of goods is Maharashtra. It is that place from where he is giving instruction to A to send the goods from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka. Physically, the goods never entered Maharashtra and the goods never left Maharashtra. But location of supplier of goods for Mr. B for the second contract, for Mr. B for the second contract is Maharashtra. It is the place from where the instruction is given. From where the instruction is given. For goods, it is implied. Therefore, they are not defined. For goods, it is very clear. From where the instructions given, they are not defined. So, if I were to tell what is the location of supplier, location of supplier of goods is a place from where the instruction is given, not physically moved. From where the instruction is given. It is not defined in IGST Act or neither in CGST Act. Location of supplier of services, place of business of fixed establishment which is most directly concerned. If you have that, if you don't have that, usual place of residence. Usual place of residence. That is step number 1. That is step number 1. Are we guys clear with the step number 1? What is location of supplier of goods? Location of supplier of goods is from where the goods moves or from where the instruction is given to move the goods. Actual movement or instruction? Actual movement or instruction? Instruction. This will be very clear when we actually see your place of supply. Again, we'll be repeating this. Instruction. It will be instruction. Where is the location of supplier of service? Is the location of supplier of goods defined in IGST Act? No. Where is the location of supplier of service? It is defined. If you have a place of business of fixed establishment, whichever is most directly concerned. If you don't have that, usual place of residence. Usual place of residence. Now, before seeing place of supply, first we will evaluate your nature of supply. First we will evaluate your nature of supply. So step number 1 is over. Now before seeing your step number 2, first we'll see nature of supply. Now till now, what was your understanding? Till now your understanding was very clear that if LOS, POS are in the same state, it is intra-state supply, CGST, SGST. If LOS and POS, location of supply, place of supply, are in different state, it is interstate supply, IGST. LOS, POS, same state. Intra-state supply. LOS, POS, different state. But that is only one part of the answer. That is only general answer. This is only the general answer. General case. If LOS and POS are in same state, it is intra-state supply. If LOS and POS are in different state, it is interstate supply. Correct? This is the general part of the answer. In general part, you have not only seen the general thing, not the exception. Now, there are lots and lots of special cases. There are lots of your special cases. You need to see the special cases. You will actually understand, yes, we have discussed this indirectly. Import of goods. Import of goods and import of service. Import of goods and import of service is always louder. Outside India to India. Outside India to India. Outside India to India. It is always interstate. It's always interstate. The difference is for import of goods, you need not even find place of supply. By default, it is interstate. For import of services, you have to see supplier is outside India, recipient is in India, and place of supply is in India. So you are required to find out. Without place of supply, you cannot decide whether it is import of services or not. Second difference, import of goods attracts customs duty, BCD, SWS plus IGST. Import of service attracts only IGST. Attracts only IGST. Outside in USA to India, inter or intra? USA to India, inter or intra? Louder. USA to India, inter or intra? Whether it is goods or services. Import of goods or import of services. Technical difference. Import of goods attracts customs duty, the breakup of which is BCD, SWS, IGST. Import of service attracts IGST. Second, for import of goods, you do not even find place of supply. By default, it is interstate supply. For import of services, the conclusion that it is interstate supply will be found only when you find out why. Because import of service has got 3 conditions. Supplier outside India, recipient in India, and place of supply. So only when place of supply is in India, finally when you find out, technically you will be categorizing it as a import of services. Right. Next, if I tell supplier is in India, supplier of goods. Now it is not only for goods or only for services, it is for both. Supplier of goods or supplier of services is in India. Place of supply is outside India. Supplier of goods or supplier of services in India and place of supply is outside India. India to USA. USA to India. Interstate. India to USA. India to USA. Louder. It is interstate. But again understand. Here I am required to find out place of supply. Only when I find out place of supply, only then two conditions are satisfied. Supplier is in India. Place of supply is outside India. Place of supply is outside India. You got that? So here I have to find out place of supply. Because LOS India, POS outside India. POS outside India. It is interstate. And people always think that if it is India to USA, it is always exports. No, it is not always export. It may be export, it may not be export. Because for export, you have to get convertible foreign currency. It may be export, it may not be export. It may be export, it may not be export. So always don't think that if LOS is in India and POS outside India, it is always export. No, it may be export, it may not be export. It is interstate, it is IGST. It is IGST, but it may be export, it may not be export. If it is export, zero rating will apply. What is zero rating? You don't pay output tax, but still you take input tax credit and you apply for the refund. Right. Now, another special point. Supply by SEZ or supply to SEZ. Whether I am purchasing from special economic zone or I am selling to special economic zone. SEZ is always treated like foreign territory within India. Foreign territory within India. Purchase from SEZ, interstate, IGST. Selling to SEZ, interstate, IGST. It is always interstate. That is, if at all I am sitting in Coimbatore, I am selling to a special economic zone in Coimbatore. Though LOS and POS are within Coimbatore, but the tax type will be IGST. The tax type will be, so whenever I am purchasing from SEZ or I am selling to SEZ, it is always IGST. It is always, even if it is in the same state, same city, same street. Even if it is in the same state, same city, same street, purchase from SEZ or sale to SEZ is always IGST. It's always IGST. And also understand that purchase from SEZ is IGST. Sale to SEZ is IGST. But what is zero rating? Zero rating is only sale to SEZ, supply to SEZ. What are the two cases of zero rating? Export of goods and services, supply to SEZ. See, understand the difference. Supply by SEZ is also IGST. Supply to SEZ is also IGST. But what is zero rating? Only supply to SEZ, where you will not pay output tax, but still you will get the input tax credit and you will claim the refund. You claim the refund. But if you see carefully, if you see things carefully, when you are talking about SEZ transaction, by SEZ or to SEZ, you need not find place of supply. You need not even find. By default, it is IGST. If it is import of goods, you need not even find place of supply. By default, it is IGST. If it is supply by SEZ or supply to SEZ, you need not find place of supply. You need not find place of supply. By default, it is IGST. And finally, if you're talking about supply of goods to tourist, not Indian tourist, international tourist, foreign tourist, international tourist who stay in India is not more than 6 months. Who staying in India for not more than 6 months. Legitimate non-immigrant purposes. For legitimate non-immigrant purposes. He comes, stays for 2-3 months, not more than 6 months and goes out. If you're giving goods to that tourist, it is always interstate. It is always interstate. Here also, you need not find out place of supply. Supposing, what is the place in India where tourists goes a lot? Any place in India where you find tourists, maximum number of tourists? One is Goa, Now, do you think that if a person who's a tourist in coming in Goa and I'm the shop owner, if I am giving the goods, I have to always charge? It really practically doesn't happen because till he gives me a proof that he is an international tourist, till he gives me his visa copy, what I'll do? I'll treat him as normal B2C customer. I will not charge IGST. I will charge CGST plus Goa SGST. Plus Goa SGST. But yes, if he gives me a proof that he's an international tourist by giving a copy of visa and he's aware of the provisions. So why he will be aware of provisions? Because when he goes out, he'll get the refund of this GST. When he goes back to his country, he'll get the refund of this GST. If at all he's aware, then he'll tell that he's an international tourist. He'll give me a proof of his visa. Then I'll charge IGST. Then I'll charge IGST. Out of these 5 special cases, please look at these 5 cases carefully. There are 3 cases where you did not even find place of supply. Import of goods, supply by SEZ or supply to SEZ, and supply of goods to tourist. And be very careful, here it is only supply of goods to tourist. You are not talking about services. Services will not be taken back, intangible. Only goods will be taken back by the tourist. Services will not be taken back by the tourist. So it is supply of only goods to international tourist. In 3 cases, without even finding out place of supply, you decided that it is interstate supply, which means it is IGST. It is IGST. So there are few cases where you don't even find first step and second step. You don't even evaluate first step and second step. Directly you conclude that they are IGST transaction. Import of goods, supply by SEZ, supply to SEZ, supply of goods to foreign tourist. By default, they are interstate supply, IGST transaction. You need not evaluate step number 1, location of supplier. Step number 2, place of supply. By default, they are IGST transaction. There are other 2 cases where they are by the IGST transaction, but for that you have to find out place of supply. What are they? Import of services. It is IGST, but for that you have to find out place of supply. Secondly, location of supplier in India, place of supply outside India. It is IGST transaction, interstate supply. But for that you have to find out place of supply, and that should be outside India. That should be outside India. Are you guys clear with this entire understanding? Out of 5 special cases, 3 cases without even finding out place of supply, it is IGST. No step 1, no step 2, it is IGST. Other 2 cases, you have to find out place of supply. Once you find out place of supply, that is, it is importation of services, IGST. Or LOS is in India, location supplier India, place of supply outside India, it is IGST. Whether it is export or not, it is IGST. It may or may not be export, but it is IGST transaction. Now, only in a normal case, if at all you are not talking about the special cases, how to read special cases? 5 cases are there, but read it as 3 plus 2. Read it as 3 plus 2. Special cases in total, how many are there? 5, but always try to read it as 3 cases are place of supply is not required, 2 cases are place of supply is required. General case we have already discussed, and we have been discussing right from the beginning. LOS, POS, same state, intrastate supply, CGST, SGST. LOS, POS, different state, interstate supply, IGST. But what if I tell that there is a residuary scenario where you are not sure whether it is intrastate supply or not? In general case, there is a residuary scenario. In general case, there is an exception. So general case, you have to read it as 1 plus 1. There is an exception. There is an exception. Now, what is that exception? Where you are unable to find out any answer. You are unable to find out any answer. If you are unable to find out any answer, by default, it will be treated as IGST. By default, it will be treated as IGST. So, is it possible that we are not able to find out the answer? I will explain this with one of the RCM case. There is one of the RCM scenario where it is called as security lending scheme. Security lending scheme. There is a lender of security and there is a borrower of security. Supposing I am the lender of security, and Praveen Jain is the borrower of security, and this lending happens via stock exchange regulated by SEBI, happens via stock exchange, right? If I have shares which are of no use for me because I'm a long-term investor, but Praveen Jain wants to do short-term trading. My shares I'm not even anyways going to sell. So what I do, I give these shares to Praveen Jain for lending so that he need not purchase the entire shares. He'll take the shares on lending. He'll do short-term trading for a few months. After that, again, I'll be return those shares. It is just like I have an empty space. I'm not using it. I'm giving for renting. The same way, ownership was always with me, still remains with me. The only thing is, if I'm giving those shares for lending, say for 3 months, 3 months I cannot sell it. For 3 months, those shares, he'll be doing something. Can I directly deal with him? No. If I directly deal with him, he'll run away. So all it is routed through stock exchange. So stock exchange will take care of that within 3 months, whatever he does, whether he gets profit or not. He'll return back the shares. Again, the shares will come to me. I was the owner. I am still the owner only for the period of 3 months where I was still the owner, but I could not trade with it. I could not sell it. Now this is called as security lending scheme. This is called as security lending scheme. Security lending scheme, where lender is the supplier, borrower is the recipient. Obviously, there will be lending charges. There will be lending charges, and this case is covered under RCM. This case is covered under RCM. Now, when this case is covered under RCM, recipient, say Praveen Jain, has to pay RCM. But what is the problem? You can find out place of supply, but Vishal Jain and Praveen Jain, lender and borrower, will not know each other. Though we might be in the same state, same city, same street, same building, having a cup of tea and coffee together daily, but will not know that I am the lender, he is the borrower. So here, who's going to pay GST? Who's going to pay GST? Borrower. Who's this borrower? Recipient. Now, for finding out whether it is CGST, SGST, you do require what things? You require location of supplier and place of supply. You can find it out. But he can never find out. Praveen Jain can never find out location of supplier because he does not know who's the supplier. Both these people will not know each other. It is all routed via stock exchange. Identity will not be known. When the recipient does not know who's the supplier, can he know location of supplier? When recipient does not know who's supplier, can he know location of supplier? Now this case is under RCM, and this is a classic example where I'm falling under general case, but I'm not able to find out either LOS or POS. In this case, I'm not able to find out location of supplier. So it will be always IGST transaction, even if supplier is located in Maharashtra, even if the recipient is there in Maharashtra, it will not be CGST, SGST transaction, it will be IGST transaction. It will be IGST transaction. Clear? Clear? So by this, we have seen this RCM entry as well as this RCM will always be IGST. This RCM will always be IGST. Why? The recipient here, if at all anyone wants to find out whether it's CGST, SGST or IGST, he should know two things, LOS and POS. This recipient will not even know the supplier. Forget about finding LOS. Therefore, it will be by default IGST. Now, if you see general case, you will get an understanding. If LOS, POS in same state, intrastate, CGST plus SGST. If LOS, POS in different state, interstate, IGST. But if you are not able to find either LOS or POS, then it is always interstate. It is always interstate. So that is everything about your nature of supply. Section 7 read along with section 8. Section 7 read along with section 8. Interstate supply and intrastate supply. If you see all these cases, there is only one case which is intra-state supply. Everything else was special cases. All the 5 special cases are interstate supply. In 3 cases, place of supply is not at all required. In 2 cases, place of supply is required, but it is interstate supply. And in general case, in exception scenario, it is always, if you don't know LOS, POS, it is always interstate supply. If you know it, it may be intrastate, it may be interstate. It may be intrastate, it may be interstate. That is all about section 7 and 8. And section 9 is an utter time pass section. It talks about what if your LOS or POS is in territorial waters of India. And I'll explain this with a very simple example, and by default you'll have an answer. What if I tell that you're talking about Tamil Nadu and say Andhra, right? What if I tell that is location of supplier is in Tamil Nadu, place of supply is in territorial waters, place of supply is in water. It can be in water area as well. If you see place of supply, they'll define a place. It can be in water as well. If you find out place of supply, it may be a particular place. It may be a particular place. Now, tell me whether it is CGST, SGST or IGST. They logically tell that first, from all those states which are near that place of supply, try to find out the nearest distance. Tamil Nadu will try to give the lowest or shortest distance. Tamil Nadu tells that our shortest distance is 11.5 nautical miles, measurement of sea, nautical miles. And Andhra Pradesh tells that our shortest distance from our baseline, any baseline, to this place of supply is say 10.8 nautical miles. So where is the place of supply? Louder. What will be the tax type? Location of supply, Tamil Nadu, place of supply. Andhra, it will be IGST. But if I change this question, and if I tell that Andhra Pradesh tells that our shortest distance is 7.8 nautical miles, then what is the place of supply? Tamil Nadu. Then what will be the tax type? CGST, SGST. Why? LOS is in Tamil Nadu, place of supply is in Tamil Nadu, it will be CGST, SGST. So you will select, every state will give the shortest distance. You select the lowest among that. In this case, what is the lowest? 11.5. So what will be the place of supply? Tamil Nadu. LOS Tamil Nadu, POS Tamil Nadu, CGST, SGST. If Andhra tells that no, our nautical miles is not 11.8 nautical miles, our shortest distance is 10.5 nautical miles. So ours is the shortest distance and not Tamil Nadu. Then what will be the place of supply? Then the place of supply suddenly will become Andhra Pradesh. So LOS Tamil Nadu, POS Andhra Pradesh, it will be IGST. That is section 9. Right. Now, section 9 is only a clarification. If you have multiple states, because it is the place of supply or LOS is in a water area, how to decide which state? How to decide? Take the shortest distance from each of the states, and which is lowest will be the state where LOS is there or where POS is there. Right. So that is section 9 for you. Now, coming back to the basic question, what are the three steps? What are the 3 steps? Step number 1. What is step number 1? Finding out location of supplier. Location of supplier of goods is not defined, whereas location of supplier of services defined. Location of supplier of goods is from where instructions given. Location of supplier of services, place of business of fixed establishment which is most directly concerned. If that is not there, usual place of residence. Then step number 2 is place of supply, which you have to see. Step number 3 is nature of supply. Step number 3 is nature of supply. Till now, our discussion was always, general mindset of the students is always it is CGST, SGST or IGST, correct? Yes, generally it is true. But there are certain special cases by default where it is always IGST. And out of which there are 3 cases where you need not even find out place of supply. By default it is IGST. Import of goods by default BCD, SWS, IGST. Supply by SEZ, supply to SEZ, by default it is IGST. By default it is IGST. Supply of goods to tourists, international tourists under section 15, by default it is IGST. There are other 2 cases where you have to find out POS, then find out it is IGST or not. Import of service. First of find POS, then determine that it is import of service, IGST. LOS India, POS outside India. First find out POS is outside India, then decide that it is IGST. It may be export, it may not be export. And you find out your nature of supply. But technically it is the 3rd step. In exam, first evaluate LOS, then POS. Please understand, if you get any of the 5 special cases, or out of which you are talking about 3 special cases, 5 special cases, forget about 2, 3. For those 3 cases, step 1, step 2 not relevant. Step 1, step 2, by default it is IGST transaction. For other cases, you have to go to step 1 and your step 2, then decide whether it is CGST, SGST or whether it is IGST transaction. What is your step 2? Place of supply. Place of supply. So when you talk about your place of supply, section 10 and section 11 deals with goods. Section 12, section 13 deals with services. Place of supply for goods is discussed in section 10 and section 11. And place of supply for services discussed in section 12 and section 13. Now, out of that, section 10 talks about place of supply for goods where it is not dealing with import and export, which means within India. Within this, the goods are moving within India. Section 11 talks about import and export. Import and export. Section 12 talks about again within India. LOS and LOR are there in India. Section 13. Either LOS or LOR is outside India. In simple language, domestic transaction of goods. Domestic transaction of goods is discussed in section 10. And domestic transaction of services is discussed in section 12. International transaction of goods, import export, is discussed in section 11. International transaction of services, where either supplier, location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India, which means international transaction. Is discussed in section 13. Are you guys clear with this entire understanding? So when you talk about domestic transaction of goods, section 10. International transaction of goods, import export, section 11. Domestic transaction of services, section 12. Both LOS, LOR in India. Both supplier and recipient are in India. International transaction of services, section 13. Either location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India. Either or. International transaction. So that is the outline of your 3rd step, which is place of supply. Section 10 is place of supply for goods other than import and export. In simple language, place of supply for goods, domestic transactions. Place of supply for goods, domestic transactions. Now, we'll see the categorization here, where supply involves movement of goods, where there is supply but there is no movement of goods, or where you're talking about goods are delivered by supplier to recipient or any other person on direction of 3rd person. ABC on direction of 3rd person. This is all with respect to This is all with respect to B2B transactions. This is all with respect to B2B transactions. Then there's one more point here for B2C transaction, fourth case. 3 cases for B2B, 1 case for B2C. B2C. B2B means recipient is registered, B2C means recipient is unregistered. Then next is goods are assembled or installed at site, special cases, or goods are supplied on board a conveyance. On board a conveyance. These are all special cases. We'll give this in a simple manner, that where you're talking about B2B transactions. First, we'll split that into B2B and B2C. B2B, B2C, then special. Special, B2B, B2C and special. Rather, we'll make it more clear. General transactions, special transactions. General transactions B2B, B2C. Special transactions, you're talking about goods assembled at site and goods sold on board a conveyance. So in general, you have 2 categories. In special, you have 2 categories. In general, in B2B, you have 3 situations. You have 3 situations where there is supply and movement, where there is supply but no movement, where there is supply but no movement, and where supply is through a third person. Supply is through a third person. B2C, B2C, recipient's address is known, recipient's address is not known. Recipient's address is known, recipient's address is not known. Even knowing the state is equal to address, not the entire address. So there is a clarification. Just knowing the state is sufficient. You need not know the entire address, knowing the state is sufficient. Now, let us talk about place of supply for all of them. Place of supply, what were you talking about first is general category B2B, where supply involves movement of goods. Where supply involves movement of goods. Place of supply is a place where the movement of the goods terminates for delivery. The movement of the goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Termination of goods, where the movement of the goods ends. Where the movement of the goods ends. Where the movement of the goods ends. Where it is to a third person, 3 persons are involved. Place of supply is the principal place of business. Principal place of business. Principal place of business of the third person. We'll understand it. Principal place of business of the third person. Where supply is there, but there is no movement. Where supply is there, but there is no movement. Place where the goods are delivered. Constructive delivery. Place where the goods are delivered. This delivery means constructive delivery, handed over. Ownership is handed over. Ownership is handed over. B2C transaction. Recipient address is known. It is location of recipient. Recipient address is not known. Location of supplier. Location of supplier. If recipient address is known, location of recipient. If it is not known, your own location. Location of supplier. Special cases. Where you are supplying the goods which are assembled. Then this place where assembly happens. Location of assembly. Place where the goods are assembled. Place where the goods are actually assembled. Place where the assembling actually happens. Where goods are supplied on board a conveyance, which means goods are sold during the journey of a conveyance. It is place where the goods are taken on board. Taken on board. Where the goods enter. Where the goods enter. Now, this makes my job very simple, that this is everything about your section 10. Section 10. Where you're talking about goods. Place of supply for goods other than import and export. Domestic. Now let us see point by point with examples. Now, when you're talking about the first case, I'll just give an example. Just focus on the example and find it very straightforward. Very, very straightforward thing. You're talking about a scenario where supplier is, and first of all, we are talking about what? We are talking about general case and the recipient is registered. Recipient is. So now you have to assume that in all my examples, recipient is registered. Where supply involves movement. I am in Tamil Nadu, my customer is in Maharashtra. I am in Tamil Nadu, my customer is in Maharashtra. What is the place of supply? What is the place of supply? Normally think of it. I am in Tamil Nadu, my customer is in Maharashtra. What is the place of supply? Maharashtra. How? Where the movement of the goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Where the goods are going to end. Where the movement is going to end. Maharashtra. Maharashtra. Clear? Now, if I talk about a situation where supply is through third person, and in all the cases, please assume that recipient is registered. Recipient is registered. Where supply is via a third person. Supply is via a third person. Now, for this, we'll take the same example that we have taken earlier. Mr. A is there in Tamil Nadu. Mr. B is there in Maharashtra. And Mr. C was there in Karnataka. Correct? You already have taken this example. Correct? Now, how many supplies are there? Supplies are 2. Supply 1, supply 2. How many movement is there? Directly the goods are moving from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka. So, movement is only 1. There's no contract between A and C. There's only movement. B has ordered. Now, let us evaluate about Mr. A. Where is the location of supplier? Location of supplier is Tamil Nadu. Where is the place of supply? Where is the place of supply? Now, they call Mr. B as the third person. Technically, he is not the third person. For Mr. A, he is the recipient. But for some reason, they are calling Mr. B as the third person. What is the place of supply? Principal place of business of? 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 So, where is the place of supply? Where is the place of supply? Maharashtra. Principal place of business of third person. CGST, SGST or IGST? Normally, it would have said A is selling to B. A in Tamil Nadu, B in Maharashtra. Your answer would have been same thing only. But now we are trying to find out the words and exactly connect the dots. This is in terms of your section 10(1)(b). Now, what about second transaction? We have to even analyze second transaction. Second supply. Where is the location of supplier? Where is the location of supplier for Mr. B? Maharashtra. The place from where instruction is given is the location of supplier. Place from where instruction is given is the location of supplier. Where is the place of supply for Mr. B? Louder. Louder. Karnataka. Where the movement of goods terminates for delivery. In the second transaction, movement is happening not from B to C, but it is happening from A to C. So, this is in terms of section 10(1)(a). If you see A to B, place of supply is in terms of 10(1)(b), which is principal place of business of third person. They call Mr. B as, in reality, Mr. B is recipient for Mr. A, but they call him as third person. Now, for the second transaction, place of supply is Karnataka. B to C, movement is not from B to C, but movement is happening. B to C, B is selling to C. Though movement is not from B to C, movement is from A to C. So movement is happening. So when movement is happening, it is where the movement of goods terminates for delivery. Where is that place? Karnataka, section 10(1)(a). For the second transaction, answer is given by section 10(1)(a). And here it is given by 10(1)(b). Are you clear with this understanding? Are you guys clear with this understanding? Even if I would have said, ask you normally, you would have sent the same answer. If I tell Mr. A in Tamil Nadu is selling to Mr. B in Maharashtra, your answer would be place of supply is louder. Louder. Same thing. Now you have found by words. Mr. B of Maharashtra is selling to Mr. C of Karnataka. Your place of supply would have been louder. Answer would have been the same in your mind. But now you know the wordings and the provisions. Clear? Now, what if I tell that it is B to B case, but there is no movement at all? There is absolutely no movement. If I decide to sell this entire equipment, the system, tab, camera to this particular premises, whether there is supply made by me to ICI, yes or no? Yes. Whether there is any movement, there are only two parties. Supplier is VJ, recipient is ICI. There are only two parties involved. Whether there is sale of this entire set, instrument set, yes. Whether there is any movement, no. What is the place of supply? Where the goods are delivered, handed over, constructive delivery. Constructive, where the goods are located now. This place, this particular place, this would be the place of supply. This would be the place of supply, where the goods are handed over or delivered. When I tell handed over or delivered, it means constructive delivery. Ownership is transferred. I give the passwords, etc., all these things, and I give the ownership. I'll give you a better example. I'm there in Tamil Nadu. I'm renting a machinery to a person in Maharashtra. I'm there in Tamil Nadu. I'm renting a machinery to a person in Maharashtra. Supply of goods or supply of service? Louder. Supply of service, place of supply will be decided by section 12. Will not test yet. After giving that machinery for rent for 5 years, I sell the machinery to him. After 5 years, I sell that machinery to him. Now is it supply of goods or supply of service? Louder. So renting is supply of service, not test in section 10. But after 5 years, I am selling the machinery. Now it is supply of goods. Machinery is with whom? The person in Maharashtra. Have I sold the machinery? Yes. Whether the machinery is moving? No. It is already with him. Where is the place of supply? Maharashtra. Why? Even if I normally said that supplier is in Tamil Nadu, customer is in Maharashtra, and machinery is sold to a person in Maharashtra, your answer would have been Maharashtra only. But now how it is that? Is there any supply? Yes. After 5 years. Is there any movement? No. What is the place of supply? Where the goods are delivered or handed over. So it is Maharashtra. IGST transaction. B to B case is over. And B to C actually is very simple. Directly question itself, the situation itself has got an answer. If my customer is unregistered in any of the case, now my assumption is my customer is unregistered. If I know his address, it is location of his address. We are there at the border of Tamil Nadu. If a customer is coming from Kerala and purchasing the goods, if I know his address, if he is regularly coming to my shop and if I know his address, I'll put it as place of supply as Kerala. But if I have a shop in the border of Tamil Nadu and people from Kerala keep coming and purchasing it, B to C, I don't know his address. Supposing you're having a shop in a mall, a lot of people will be coming and purchasing in a mall. Do you think that they know your address? No. They might take your mobile number, but do they know your address? No. Whether you are coming from the same state or other state or even foreign country, what tax they'll charge? CGST and SGST. Why? Place of supply is location supplier. Location supplier is Tamil Nadu. Place of supply is also Tamil Nadu. Therefore, CGST, SGST. Are you guys clear with this understanding? Why a shop owner in mall always charges CGST, SGST whether the customer is coming from within the state, Tamil Nadu, or outside the state, say from Maharashtra, or outside the country, say USA? Because it is B2B case and he is not knowing the address, place of supply is his own location. So his location of supply is Tamil Nadu, place of supply is also Tamil Nadu, CGST, SGST. Clear? Clear? So that is for general case B2B and B2C. What about special cases? What about special cases? When the goods are assembled. If I am selling a particular machinery which is assembled, I am in Tamil Nadu, I am selling a machinery to a customer in Maharashtra. But that machinery will go and be assembled in Uttar Pradesh. I am in Tamil Nadu, supplier Tamil Nadu, customer, recipient Maharashtra. But the machinery is given in Uttar Pradesh and assembled at Uttar Pradesh. What is the place of supply? Uttar Pradesh, not Maharashtra. No. Special cases. It is not Maharashtra. No. It is a place where the goods are assembled. Understand that that particular customer in Maharashtra, he is doing something in Uttar Pradesh. He is purchasing machines. He should have taken registration in. If he is doing something in Uttar Pradesh, he should have taken registration in. Place of supply is not Maharashtra. Place of supply is Uttar Pradesh. Place of supply is Uttar Pradesh. Supplier Tamil Nadu, customer or recipient in Maharashtra, but the goods are given and assembled in Uttar Pradesh. Place of supply is Uttar Pradesh. In another special case, where the goods are sold on board. This is a very common thing. Can you tell when you are traveling, what are the goods which are sold on board? Any example that you have? When you are in travel, there are certain goods sold to you when you are on board a conveyance. On board a conveyance. Any example for that? Pardon? Louder. Goods are sold on conveyance. Louder. Food. Food is not a classic example here. It is service. I was expecting only that answer first. It is supply of service. But we are focusing on what? But wait. I think she has at least highlighted some other answer. If not food, there will be Pepsi which is being sold. Lace which is being sold. There will be imitation jewelry which comes and being sold at times. T-shirts will be sold. People will come and sell the t-shirts. Books, newspapers, these are all goods. Why I am talking about Pepsi and Lays as goods? Because it is pre-packed. It is pre-packed. It is goods. But normal food that you said is not pre-packed. That is service. That is service. That is the goods on all conveys that. That will be Pepsi, which is goods. Lays, which is pre-packed goods. Imitation jewelry, t-shirts, books, newspapers. These are all goods supplied on board a convey. Someone will be coming and selling you. We are talking from his point of view. We are talking from his point of view. Supposing a train journey starts at Kanyakumari and it is ending at Ladakh. Kanyakumari to Ladakh. And I am the seller who is selling t-shirts. I enter at Tirupur. I enter at Tirupur. And all of you are the passengers in that particular train. And all of you have purchased t-shirt. One may have purchased at Tirupur, one may have purchased at Salem, one may have purchased at Bangalore, etc., etc., etc. Location of supplier of mine is Tirupur. Where is the place of supply? Where is the place of supply? I took 100 t-shirts when I entered the train at Tirupur. I sold 40 t-shirts. First, make it very clear, we are only talking about 40 t-shirts. I took 100 t-shirts when I entered the train. I sold how many? Supplies of 100 t-shirts or 40 t-shirts? So we are trying to find out place of supply only for those transactions where supply happened. We are not concerned with 60 t-shirts, 40 t-shirts. Where is the place of supply? When they are taken on board, which means when they were taken on board, the train started from Kanyakumari. It is ending at Ladakh. When the t-shirts are taken on board, louder, Tirupur. The t-shirts are taken on board at Tirupur. Place of location of supply is also Tirupur. Place of supply is also Tirupur. Normally it will be CGST, SGST transaction. Whether the customer purchase at Tirupur or say Salem or Madurai or say Bangalore or any other place, not relevant. But also make sure that we are not talking about all 100 t-shirts. We are only talking about 40 t-shirts. We are only talking about 40 t-shirts. That's everything about your section 10 for goods, domestic transaction, general 2 categories, special 2 categories. General B2B subcategories 3, B2C subcategories 2. Special there are only 2 categories, assembly of goods and goods sold on board a conveyance. That's everything about your section 10. Now when you talk about your section 12, that section 12 talks about what? Place of supply for services, domestic transaction. Why? Because LOS and LOR in India. Both location of supplier and location of recipient are in India. Now, there is a general rule for your section 12 and then there are special cases. And if you see the general rule, you'll find that it is quite similar to what we are discussing in section 10. It's quite similar to what we have already covered in section 10. But before we take that, please understand that we have bifurcated your entire section 12 into 2 parts. Place of supply where the answer is based on registration status of the customer, recipient. And place of supply where the answer is not based on registration status of the recipient. Place of supply where the answer is based on registration status of the recipient, and place of supply where answer is not based on registration status of the recipient. Now when you talk about place of supply where answer is based on registration status of the recipient, there is a general case. If a particular service is not covered anywhere, you'll come here. You will come here. If it is covered in special cases, you'll not come here. So general case, what is the answer? If your customer is registered B2B, I'll call it as B2B. I'll not write it as supply to registered person or all. If it is B2B transaction, if it is B2B transaction, location of such registered person. If it is B2C transaction, it is B2B transaction. If address is known to you on record, location of recipient. If address is not known to you, location of supplier. It seems very familiar. Just like the summary of section 10. They have summarized it. B2B, location of registered recipient. B2C, if address is known, location of recipient. If not known, your own location. Your own location. When I tell place of supply is also location of supplier, it is always CGST SCC. Why? Location of supplier is, say, Tamil Nadu. Place of supply is also location of supplier, say, Tamil Nadu. It will be always CGST SCC transaction. General case. This is nothing but a revision of section 10 again. General section of section 12 itself is revision of section 10. Then special cases. One by one we have to see special cases. What is the first special case? You're talking about service in relation to training or performance appraisal. Service in relation to training or performance appraisal. You're talking about performance related services on individuals. Performance related services on individuals. Training and performance appraisal. In such a case, if it is B2B, if it is B2B, location of registered person. If it is B2C, it is where the performance happened. Location of performance. Location of B2B, location of registered recipient. B2C, location where actual performance happened. Actual performance happened. Rather, you have one more performance related services. One more performance related services where you're talking about restaurant, outdoor catering services, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. Why I am comparing both? Both are related to performance. If that person is there, I can give the service. If that person is there, I can give the, whether it is training or performance appraisal, training services, or whether it is restaurant or outdoor catering or personal grooming services or fitness or beauty treatment, health services, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. Only if that person is there, I can give my service, performance related services. Here, whether it is B2B or B2C, answer is place of performance. Answer is location of performance. Now, how to differentiate it? How to differentiate it? I'll give an example to make you understand this. Here, you're talking about training, performance appraisal. Here, you're talking about restaurant, outdoor catering, etc. etc. Correct? Both are performance based services. Now, in both the cases, we'll always fix location of supplier as Tamil Nadu. If the performance is happening in Maharashtra, if the performance is happening in, say, USA. Performance is happening in Maharashtra, performance is happening, say, in USA. It can happen. An outdoor caterer can go outside India and give his services there in India. Personal grooming. I am supposing involved in personal grooming services. There is a movie which is taking place, shooting is taking place in USA. I am person appointed for personal grooming for that actor. Performance is where? USA. Now, where is the place of supply? Where is the place of supply? Location of recipient is say Karnataka. Location of recipient is say Karnataka. B2B case, B2C case. If it is B2B case, if it is B2B case, if it is B2B case, training and performance appraisal, what will be the answer? Answer will be Karnataka, Karnataka for training and performance appraisal. If it is B2C, where performance happens, Maharashtra, USA. Maharashtra, USA. But if it is restaurant, outdoor catering, personal grooming, fitness, etc., 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 then B2B or B2C is not relevant. Whether it is B2B or B2C, location of performance, Maharashtra. Whether it is B2B or B2C, USA. Are you guys clear with this understanding? Are you guys clear with this understanding? So that's a comparison which is required. For what? For performance related services. For both these categories are what? They are performance related services. One is training, performance appraisal, and other is all the other performance based on individuals, be it restaurant or outdoor catering or health services, fitness, cosmetic plastic surgery, etc. etc. One place B2B, B2C is relevant. In other place, whether it is B2B or B2C, it is the same answer. Location of performance. Location of performance. Right. Now, we'll go to the next part. Next part is event. Next part is event. Organization of an event, including ancillary services, including sponsorship. So there's an event which is organized, say for example, IPL event. Organization of an event and ancillary services. Also sponsorship is covered here. Also sponsorship is covered here. If it is B2B, location of registered person. If it is B2C, then wait, you have to think. If the location is in India, where the event is held. If the location is outside India, then it is location of recipient. B2B, location of registered recipient. B2C, location in India, where the event is there. Location outside India, now they don't focus on event, they focus on location of recipient. But wait, for event, that is one more category of services where you're talking about admission to any event, not only event, admission to amusement park or any other place, and ancillary services. Here they talk about event as well as fixed place, that is any amusement park or any other place. Zoo. Right. See, the difference between event and amusement park. Event place will keep changing, but that amusement park or any other place will remain fixed. So here they are not talking about organization of an event. They are talking about admission. In simple language, ticket. In simple language, ticket. Where is the place of supply? Place of supply is where the event is held or where the park is located. If it is event will keep changing where the event is held or where the amusement park or any other place is located. What is the difference? There they are talking about organization of event. Here they are talking about admission to event. Organization, admission. Organization, admission. Now, organization of event. When you talk about IPL event being there, all the services which are associated with IPL is organization of event. Only ticket that you pay and enter is nothing but admission. Ticket and the food that you have. Along with the ticket, you'll have food. So, ticket and the food is only related to admission. Everything else is related to organization of an event. Right. Now, when you talk about event, this example we took it for what? Performance. Now, what I am doing with the same example, what I am doing? I am changing few things. I am not talking about performance now. I am talking about event. I am talking about event. Right. So now my focus is event. I am keeping everything else the same. So there is event. One is organization of an event, including sponsorship. One is admission to an event, including admission to a place. So you are talking about event-based services. Everything else I am keeping the same. What will be the impact on answers? Now, if it is organization of an event, B2B, where is the location of recipient? B2B, organization of an event. You are talking about organization of an event. B2B, B2C is relevant. Yes. So, location of, if it is B2B, registered recipient. So, where is the recipient located? Karnataka. So, rather than writing performance, now I am going to write event. Rather than writing performance, I am changing everything to as event. What if it is B2C? If the event is in India, it is where it is held, Maharashtra. If the event is outside India, it is not where it is held, it is location of recipient. Where is the recipient? Karnataka. Where is the recipient? Karnataka. So this change you find evidently. Clear? But what if I tell that it is admission, tickets? Then, where event is held. If the event is in Maharashtra, whether it is B2B or B2C. If the event is in USA, whether it is B2B or B2C. No change now. Are you guys clear with this understanding? Right. So event also split into two parts and you will get questions only based on that. Say they have to look at the words carefully, whether it is organization of an event, including sponsorship service, or admission to an event, including admission to a place. Organization, B2B, B2C. B2B, location of registered person. B2C, in India, location of event. Outside India, location of recipient. But when you talk about admission to an event, forget about everything else. It is whether B2B, B2C is not at all relevant. It is location of event. Whether in India or outside it is location of event. Are we guys clear with this understanding? This is how you have to look at the provisions. So performance based, one was in B2B, B2C category, one was normal category. Forget about B2B, B2C. Same was true with event. Now, transportation of goods. When you talk about transportation of goods, this point is now not there, export of goods and all. Transportation of goods. If it is B2B, location of the registered recipient. If it is B2C, location where the goods are handed over for transportation. In simple language, starting point of the goods, not end point of the goods. Location where the goods are handed over for transportation means starting point of the goods. If it is B2B, simple, wherever is recipient located, location of registered recipient. If it is B2C, supposing the goods are moving from Tamil Nadu to Maharashtra, recipient is Maharashtra registered. I'm not writing it, simple, recipient is Maharashtra registered. Answer is Maharashtra. Recipient is Maharashtra not registered, where the goods are handed over for delivery. Answer is Tamil Nadu. Answer is Tamil Nadu. Passenger transportation services. Passenger transportation services. When you talk about your passenger transportation services, again, life is very simple. If it is B2B, location of registered person. If it is B2C, now B2C has got two parts now. One normal ticket, one pass. One is your normal ticket. One is your normal ticket. And one is your pass. Everyone would have remembered your concept of pass, bus pass. Even nowadays, businessmen will have train pass. A very high-end businessman will have flight pass. What is the concept of pass? You pay a lump sum amount at the beginning and you tell that I will travel in this place routinely. So if I show the pass, please allow me. Correct? That's the concept of pass. Right to passage. Right to passage. What is the difference between ticket? Ticket means supposing I want to go from say Delhi to Kolkata. I have to take a ticket from Delhi to Kolkata. I have to return it back. Kolkata to Delhi. I have to take another ticket. Correct? But I am a frequent flyer from Delhi to Kolkata. In a week, I will travel 4-5 times. A lot of business visits are there. And in a year, it will be huge. And I always travel by flight. I may go and ask Indigo Airlines, telling that, do you have any system where you can give me discount? Because in a year, I am going to travel lots and lots of times, minimum say 100 times. So why don't you give me some discount? They tell, okay, we'll do one thing. You pay a lump sum amount of 2 lakh rupees. Every time if you pay, it will be say 5,000, 10,000. You pay a lump sum amount only 2 lakh rupees. Throughout the year, you can travel 100 times. Delhi to Kolkata, Kolkata to Delhi. This is called as right of passage. Now, normal ticket B2C. Normal ticket B2C is the place of supply is the place where the passengers embarks the conveyance, which means passenger enters the conveyance. Passenger embarks the conveyance means passenger enters the conveyance for continuous journey. Now, if it is pass, if it is not ticket, if it is pass. If it is pass, if the address of the recipient is on record, location of recipient, mostly if it is pass, address will be there on record. If address by any chance is not there, location of supplier. Location of supplier. Now, what I am trying to tell, please understand whether it is ticket or whether it is pass. There is absolutely no problem if it is B2B. If supposing you're talking about location of supplier is in Tamil Nadu and location of recipient is Maharashtra. Absolutely no problem. Right? But for B2C, there is obviously issue. You have to split whether it is a ticket case per travel or at the pass case, multiple travels. Correct? Single travel, multiple travels. If it is B2B, whether it is ticket, that is single travel, or it is pass, that is multiple travel, no issues. Place of supply is location of recipient, which is Maharashtra. Correct? Now, if it is ticket, let us assume that in this ticket, I am going to travel from, I'm taking other places where you're talking about neither Tamil Nadu nor Maharashtra. I'm going to travel from say Kolkata to say I'm going to travel to Ladakh. I may do business with this state. Supplier is in Tamil Nadu, recipient is Maharashtra, but I'm traveling from Kolkata to Ladakh. Where is the place of supply? The recipient is unregistered. Passengers like you and me, unregistered. If at all you are unregistered, what will happen? It is place where the passenger embarks the conveyance for continuous journey. It will be Kolkata. It will be Kolkata, West Bengal. Clear? But if it is pass, multiple travels. So multiple travels means I'm just putting that there will be lots and lots of travels. Then place of supply. If at all, normally what will happen? Location of recipient will be on records. So location of recipient which is on records will be there. It will be Maharashtra. It will be, if at all it is not there, Tamil Nadu. Location of supplier, Tamil Nadu. If at all it is not there, location of supplier, Tamil Nadu. Are you guys clear with this understanding? If by any chance you tell that no, location of recipient is not there in records, then it is location of supplier, Tamil Nadu. Location of supplier, it is either or. If you have the recipient address, location of recipient. If you don't have recipient address, then location of supplier. Right. This will be there in past case, because in past case what will happen? I'll pay initially a bulk amount 2 lakhs, correct? But I'll be traveling very frequently, again and again. Every time there will be no place of supply. When I make the payment, there will be place of supply. This is there when you're talking about tickets, passenger transportation service. But wait. There is supply of services on board a conveyance when you are talking about passenger transportation service. When you're traveling in your train or bus or plane or vessel, there is certain services that you get. The example that she said, food, services. Now it is not supply of goods on board a conveyance. It is supply of service on board a conveyance. Supply of service on board a conveyance. What will be the answer? It is first schedule point of departure of the conveyance. It is first schedule point of departure of that conveyance. First schedule point of departure of that particular conveyance. Now to put it in very simple terms, let me give an example where there is a train which is starting from Kanyakumari and it is say ending at Ladakh. Right, there is a passenger who has entered Kanyakumari. There is a passenger say who has entered from say Coimbatore, and there is a passenger who has entered from Bangalore, and there is a passenger who has entered from Delhi. And via Delhi it has gone to Ladakh. Right, so how many passengers are there? Passenger 1, passenger 2, passenger 3, passenger 4, the passenger 4 passengers. 4 passengers. Everyone has taken a ticket. Passenger 1 is registered. Passenger 1 is registered. He is registered supposing in West Bengal. Passenger 2 is unregistered. Passenger 3 is registered and passenger 3 is registered in Punjab. Passenger 4 unregistered. Just because passenger 1 is entering at Kanyakumari does not mean he should be registered in Tamil Nadu. He may be registered in West Bengal. Just because passenger 3 has entered in Bangalore does not mean that he should be there in Karnataka. He may be there in Punjab. Right. Now, all the 4 passengers have service. Now, please tell me the place of supply for passenger transportation service and for your services on board. Everyone is having food during journey. Services on board a conveyance, which means in simple language, one I'm talking about ticket and one I'm talking about say food or other services. Let's say for example food. Now, what is the place of supply? For passenger 1, ticket. Passenger 1, ticket. He is registered, unregistered. Registered, unregistered. For ticket, if it is registered, what is the place of supply? Location of registered recipient, that is West Bengal. If he is not registered, passenger 2 not registered, Passenger to not registered. Normal ticket case, not pass case. Whether he embarks the conveyance for continuous journey. What it is? Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Passenger 3 registered. Passenger 3 registered. It is location of registered recipient. It will be Punjab. Passenger 4 not registered. Passenger 4 not registered. Where he embarks the conveyance for continuous journey. Delhi. What about food which every 4 of them had? At different point of, they might not have food together. They might have food at different point of time. What is the answer? Here, your answer is dependent on B2B or B2C. But here, whether it is B2B or B2C is not relevant. What is the answer? First schedule point of departure of the conveyance. When that conveyance started? From where that conveyance started? So, if that conveyance started, every journey, every train will have a starting point. Every flight will have a starting point. Every bus will have a starting point. From where the conveyance started? From where the conveyance started? So, the answer is Kanyakumari, that is Tamil Nadu in all the cases. The answer is Kanyakumari, that is Tamil Nadu for all the 4 cases. For all the 4 cases. Clear? If I want to make it more interesting, I'll tell that at Tirupur, there is a supplier who entered with t-shirts, and for all 4 of the passengers purchased the t-shirts. Goods supply on board. The first 2 are service. This is goods. The first 2 is service. This is goods. What will be the place of supply? Louder. Louder. For all the 4 cases, it is the place where the goods were taken on board. What is that place? What is that place? Tirupur. Tamil Nadu is a state. What is that place? Tirupur. So now you have 2 services place of supply, 1 goods place of supply given in the same example. 2 services, passenger transportation services, services on board a conveyance. 1 goods on board a conveyance during that passenger transportation journey. Here also, whether it is B2B or B2C is not relevant. Are you guys clear with this understanding? Passenger transportation service and services on board a conveyance. Now, next is where you're talking about your insurance service. B2B. Location of the registered person. If the recipient is registered person. B2C. Insurance case, always it will be recipient place because always address is on records. B2B, location of registered recipient. B2C, also location of recipient which is available on records. If you are taking insurance, your address will be surely there with them. But the difference is if it is B2B, you will decide the address. Location of registered recipient, what GST number you gave. B2C, location of recipient or your location which is there on my records. Right, this is insurance service. Whenever you talk about insurance, that's a sister service which will come. Something related to insurance service. If you talk about insurance service, you should know something about banking and financial services, including stockbroking. For them, whether it is B2B or B2C does not matter. If address is there on records, location of recipient. If address is not there, location of supplier. 99% cases, banking and financial services, recipient's address will be there on records, location of recipient. 1% possibility that recipient's address is not available on records. It is location of themselves, location of supplier. So please differentiate it. Insurance, B2B, location of registered recipient. B2C, location of recipient which is available on records. Banking, financial services, including stockbroking, whether B2B or B2C, if address of recipient is there, location of recipient on record. So if it is not there, it is possible. Very rarely it is possible. Then location of supplier. Location of supplier. Now, if you look at the earlier part, whatever place of supply were based on registration status, we saw it with related points which are not based on registration, B2B or B2C. Now, other points. Immovable property related services. Immovable property related services. Services which are directly in relation to immovable property, including accommodation services and services ancillary to the above. Any service related to immovable property, but here it is directly in relation to immovable property like construction service, architect service, real estate agent service. Accommodation service means you are staying in a hotel. One is construction of a place, construction, architect or real estate agent. One is the hotel is there, you are staying in a hotel. Or services ancillary to the above. Services ancillary to the above. Immovable property related services. If the immovable property or boat or vessel, rather here is not only immovable property related services, is also related to boat or vessel. When you are traveling in a boat or vessel, if the immovable property or boat or vessel is in India, if it is in India, location of the immovable property. If it is outside India, it is very similar to what we have already discussed for events. What we have already discussed for, if the immovable property, boat or vessel is in India, it is location of that immovable property. If the immovable property or boat or vessel is outside India, it is location of recipient. I'll give a very simple example. I am an interior decorator for Taj Hotel to be constructed in Delhi. To be constructed in Delhi. What is the place of supply? Whether the immovable property is there in India? Yes. What is the place of supply? Delhi. But for Taj Hotel, I am giving interior designing for a hotel to be constructed in USA. For a hotel to be constructed in, Taj can start hotel chain in USA. Hotel to be constructed in USA. What is the place of supply? Answer is not USA. Then I will go with location of recipient. Where Taj head office is located. Taj may tell that we are located at Mumbai. So for that, place of supply will be Maharashtra. Place of supply will be Maharashtra. Or I may give a very different example. I am constructing a new house bigger than Antilla for Mukesh Ambani. For Mukesh Ambani. Now I am going to construct that house for Mukesh Ambani, who is there in Maharashtra, in Delhi. So where is the supplier located? Tamil Nadu. Where is the recipient located? Maharashtra. Where he is going to construct the house? Delhi. Where is the place of supply? Delhi. Because immovable property is in Delhi. If I tell Mukesh Ambani tells that no. I want a house at London. I want a house at London. Where is the supplier located? Tamil Nadu. Where is the recipient located? Maharashtra. Now where is the immovable property going to be constructed? London. If the immovable property is outside India, then place of supply is location of recipient. That is Maharashtra. That is Maharashtra. The same thing is true with boat or vessel. The same thing is true with this boat and vessel will be when I am staying in boat or vessel. I am going for a cruise trip in boat or vessel. I am going for a cruise trip in boat or vessel. If it is moving within Kerala, answer is Kerala. If it is from Kerala, it is going, say, somewhere outside India. I paid for a cruise, but it is outside India. I paid in India, but it is outside India. Then location of recipient. Location of recipient. So that is the answer when you talk about your immovable property related services. Immovable property related services. Now, if you look at this entire chart, entire scenario, only two services are left out. What are the two services which are left out? They are telecommunication service and advertisement service to government. Telecommunication service, we'll see in a very simple way. Telecommunication service split into two parts. Wire, wireless. Wire, wireless. One you're talking about wire and one you're talking about wireless. Telecommunication services, you're talking about wire and you're talking about wireless. You're talking about wireless. Wire means I fix a telecommunication line, that'll be a telecommunication circuit. If it is through wire, place of supply is location where the devices are installed. Whenever you're getting telecommunication service through a wire, be it your telephone line or internet line, there will be a device installed. Location where the device is installed. Location where the device is installed. If it is wireless, wireless means also simple answer, but if it is postpaid. If at all it is postpaid, then billing address. Place of supply is, see, answer is very simple for wire category where the device is installed. Even wireless answer is very simple. If it is postpaid, billing address. Entire issue starts when it is wireless and prepaid. When it is wireless and prepaid. So when it is wireless and it is prepaid, then you have to ask. Then you have to ask a question that is it through a selling agent or a reseller or a distributor? Jio is giving you internet services or telecommunication services through a distributor. So Jio to distributor, place of supply will be the address of the selling agent or the reseller or the distributor as per the records of Jio. Now, please understand it is Jio to distributor, address of the distributor. Now, you might get telecommunication services either via distributor or directly via Jio. So, first case is Jio to distributor. Jio to distributor, address of the distributor. Second case is distributor to consumer or Jio to consumer, directly by Jio to consumer. So, here you are talking about by any person. This by any person is Jio to consumer or distributor to consumer. Place of supply is where that prepayment is received or vouchers are sold. Where the payment is received by the distributor or Jio or where the vouchers are sold. Nowadays, we don't have the concept of vouchers, but there was time where vouchers are being sold. You have to scratch it and get the amount. I repeat, Jio to distributor, place of supply, address of the distributor. And Jio to consumer or distributor to consumer, place of supply is where the prepayment is received or where the voucher, simple language, where the money is collected. But if at all you're talking about in other cases where the payment is made via internet banking or electronic mode. A lot of times, what are we doing now? Even if you're taking it from distributor or Jio, we are making the payment through your internet banking or electronic mode, Paytm or GPay, correct? In that case, it is address of recipient and records. You don't go to the distributor place and give him the cash. You directly call him and tell him to do recharge. What you do? You directly make the payment by internet or any electronic mode. In that case, place of supply is location of the recipient which is available in the records. If location of the recipient is not there by default, location of the supplier. If supplier has your location, it is location of the recipient. If supplier is not having your location, location of supplier. This entire issue is when wireless prepaid. If it is wire category, where the device is installed, simple. If it is wireless category, postpaid, billing address. Entire issue starts when wireless prepaid. Jio to distributor, address of the distributor. Jio to consumer or distributor to consumer, where the prepayment is received or vouchers are sold, which means where the money is collected. But if it is any other case where the payment is made by internet banking or online mode, then you are not going physically there. You are making the payment via internet banking or electronic mode. Then it is, if the supplier is having your address, location of recipient. If supplier is not having your address, location of supplier. Here, whether it is B2B or B2C is not at all relevant. And final category is advertisement services to government. Advertisement services to, please understand that if advertisement is given to a normal private company, be it Reliance Limited or any other private entity, then it is not coming here. It will go to section 12 subsection 2. B2B, location of registered recipient. B2C, address there, location of recipient. Address not there, location of supplier. So here you're talking about advertisement service to government. Advertisement service to government. If you're talking about advertisement services to government, who's the recipient? Government. The supplier can be anyone. Supplier can be anyone. Then place of supply is all that state where advertisement is being reaching, where your advertisement actually reaches. And rule 3 gives the list of examples how to take it. I'll just give 1 or 2 points. Other things you can go through rule 3. Suppose very logical proportion. If at all advertisement is given by Tamil Nadu government via newspapers, printed material, etc., then how to, because the advertisement will not be given only in Tamil Nadu, it will reach even other states. Then number of materials distributed in each state. Supposing 1 lakh t-shirts are printed, 80,000 t-shirts are given in Tamil Nadu, 20,000 t-shirts are given in Kerala. Where is the place of supply? Tamil Nadu and Kerala in the ratio of 8:2. Please understand that in all such cases where you have multiple answers, if the contract itself gives the split up, you go as per contract. If contract is not giving the split up, you will take the help of rules. You will take the help of rules. I'll take another example. Say for example, the advertisement by Tamil Nadu government is by putting the advertisement on train. A train which is starting from Tamil Nadu but ending at Delhi. Train which is starting from Tamil Nadu ending at Delhi. Advertisements are printed on train. Don't you think that that advertisement will reach multiple states? What is the place of supply? All those states. What ratio? You'll have multiple states because the train will go from Tamil Nadu, it will go to say Karnataka, then Maharashtra, then say Uttar Pradesh, then finally reach Delhi. So it is all these states. In what ratio? Ratio of kilometers of the track, because it will be following a track. Divide it in that ratio. Divide it in that particular ratio. Likewise, you have other scenarios. Very logical bifurcation. I've just given 2 scenarios. Very logical bifurcation is there in this. And please understand that this apportionment is there when you talk about rule 3, advertisement for governments. Logical. When you get multiple states as answer, logically divided with the help of rule 3. Logically divided with the help of rule 3. It is also there when you talk about immovable property. Supposing I am designing rooms for Taj Hotel, not only in Delhi but also in Mumbai. So I'll get multiple answers. Logically, I have to segregate in terms of rule 4. And supposing I am organizing event for IPL, and that event will be in multiple states, which we are seeing. IPL event is organized in multiple states, correct? It is not organized in a single state, it is organized in multiple states, but my contract is only one. If the contract gives the breakup, no problem. If the contract is not giving the breakup, logical breakup is as per rule 5. So there are 3 rules which are there. Just see it once. Logical breakup. Rule 3 is for service, advertisement service to government. If you have multiple states as answer, divide between multiple states as per the logical understanding of rule 3. Once you see rule 3, you will understand how to logically bifurcate it. If at all, I am designing room for Taj Hotel in Delhi, Mumbai and Kolkata. Now there are 3 answers, Delhi, Mumbai and Kolkata. If the contract gives a breakup, go with the contract. I don't need 3, 4 and 5 if the contract gives a breakup. If the contract is not giving the breakup, I'll take the help of rule 3, rule 4, rule 5. Now this rule 4 will give me the breakup for immovable property. Logical breakup. And if I'm organizing event for IPL, again it will be multiple states. The event can be held in multiple states. If the contract gives the breakup, go with the contract. If not, rule 5. So that is everything about your section 12. Just go through 3, 4 and 5. Once very logical breakup is that. I'll just give one example for rule 4 so that you'll have that particular clarity. Just one example. I'm not going to entire part. Supposing you're talking about accommodation service on a houseboat. You have gone to a boat. The boat started from Kerala, but it is also touching Tamil Nadu. It is also touching Tamil Nadu. The distribution between Kerala and Tamil Nadu will be based on time spent on the board in Kerala and time spent on the board in Tamil Nadu, which is maintained by the supplier. Supposing there is a stay, I'm staying in Taj Hotel, Mumbai and Taj Hotel Ladakh. I go for a package from MakeMyTrip.com. I stay in Taj Hotel, Mumbai and Taj Hotel Ladakh. So answer is Mumbai and Ladakh. I go for one package. 2 days in Mumbai and 3 days in Ladakh. 3 days in Ladakh. One package, single package. 2 days in Mumbai and 3 days in Ladakh. What should be the answer now? 2:3. Maharashtra and Ladakh in the ratio of number of nights stayed in that property. Number of nights stayed in that property. Supposing there is a hotel which is related single hotel in 2 states. Very rare scenario. Say for example, there is a hotel which is on the boundary of 2 states. On the boundary of, very rare but possible, boundary of 2 states. Partly in Tamil Nadu, partly in Kerala. And being in Coimbatore, it is very common for us. If you go to Anaikatti, it is highly possible that a big resort partly is there in Tamil Nadu, partly is there in Kerala. I stay in that resort. Now, it cannot be that which room I stay based on which they will give me place of supply. That cannot be the logical answer. What is the logical answer? Now, place of supply for all the stay will be 2 states, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. How to split it? Based on the square feet. Square feet of that resort in Tamil Nadu, square feet of that resort in Kerala. Very simple thing. Which means all these rules, I have not taken entire rule 3 and all. I am just telling that in 3 cases you have to take the help of rule. What are they? Advertisement service to government. You'll have multiple states as answer. Rule 3 will help you. Rule 4, immovable property. You might have multiple answers. Rule 4 will help you. Organization of an event. You might have multiple answers. Rule 5 will help you. Logical answers. Logical answers. Rather, Rule 5 does not even give an answer. At least Rule 3 and Rule 4 take efforts to give an answer. Rule 5 does not even gives an answer. Rule 5 tells that it is on the basis of generally accepted accounting principles. If there is an event in 2 states, right, there are totally 3 events in state 1 and 2 events in state 2. What will be the logical bifurcation? 3:2. 3:2. Actually, we have seen all the 3 rules. 4 seen fully, 5 seen fully, 3 I have shown you just the gist that if at all you get multiple answers, there are multiple situations which might be there. Once you go through it, life is very simple. Just once going through it is sufficient. Logical bifurcation is that. So how many cases are there where you get multiple answers? Advertisement service to government. If contract gives the breakup, go with it. Otherwise, Rule 3. Immovable property related services. If multiple states have the answer, if contract gives you the answer, go with it. Otherwise, Rule 4. Organization of an event. If multiple states have the answer, if contract gives you the breakup, go with it. Otherwise, Rule 5. Otherwise, Rule 5. So that is everything about your section 12. Now you're talking about your place of supply for services. It is either section 12 or section 13. When is section 12 applicable? Section 12 is applicable only if both LOS and LOR, both the location of supplier and location of recipient is in India. Then you find out place of supply in terms of section 12. If either location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India, you go with section 13. If both LOS and LOR in India, go with section 12. If LOS is outside India or LOR is outside India, find out place of supply in terms of section 13. In terms of section 13. Now, what we have done is, if you see section 12, section 13, you will have different categories, and you might not be able to compare that for a particular service, what is the treatment in section 12 and what is the treatment in section. So this comparative analysis will give you what will happen for particular services. If a particular service is not covered anywhere, residuary category. So let us compare 12 and 13. Keep one thing in mind when you see 12, LOS plus LOR in India. When you see section 13, LOS or LOS, LOR, LOS or LOR is outside India. Either LOS or LOR is outside India. So keep that in mind, then start comparing. What is the residuary provision? Residuary provision means if at all it is not covered anywhere in section 12, then your place of supply for B2B transaction is the location of recipient. Your place of supply for B2C transaction is actual address of the records of the recipient. Whatever is the address on records available of the recipient, address of the recipient. If you don't have address of the recipient, then place of supply will become location of supplier. See, B2B, surely you will know who is the recipient, where he is located. So go with location of recipient. B2C, initially try to go with location of recipient, whatever address is available on records. But if you don't have address, you don't have an option. B2C is very common. You might not have address. Then what to do? Your own location. Location of supplier is place of supply. Location of supplier is place of supply, which means by default it will become, the chances of it becoming IGST will be not there. It will be only CGST, SGST. Right. I have given certain examples where it will be covered. Say for example, your CA, CWA, CS, advocate services, management consultancy services, software services. All these services will be covered in the residuary provisions because you don't find them being specifically covered anywhere in section 12. What if it is a residuary category in section 13? Not covered anywhere in section 13. What you are required to do? Your place of supply is location of recipient. Understand that in section 13, make one thing clear. Section 12 will try most of the times to give answer based on two scenarios. B2B, B2C. B2B, B2C. B2B, B2C. Section 13 will not do that efforts, will not take that efforts. Section 13, either LOS or LOR is outside India. It will not take that efforts to segregate the transaction between B2B and B2C. It will try to give a simple answer. So it is location of recipient. But if location of recipient is not available in ordinary course of business, which means you don't have his address on records in simple language, then go with location of supplier. Prima facie, you find the answer same if you see the second part of the transaction. The first part of the transaction was B2B, location of recipient. B2C, indirectly it was location of recipient. When you talk about address on records of the recipient is nothing but location of recipient. If not available, go with LOS. You'll find it is very similar to that. The only thing is they don't try to segregate that into B2B and B2C. Now, if you see the examples, it will cover your CA, CS, CMA, advocate services, management consultancy services, software services, but it will not cover intermediary services. Here, it covers also intermediary services, job working services, OIDI services. Here, it will not cover these services because in section 13, specifically for intermediary services, there is a separate formula. Specifically for your intermediary services or your real estate agent services or OIDR services, there is a separate formula which was not there in section 12. When giving the examples, I am trying to differentiate. Residuary services in section 12 is not always equal to residuary services in section 13. In section 13, there are certain services which I have given in examples. Be it intermediary services, be it job working services, be it OIDR services. For them, there is a special formula in section 13, which is not there in section 12. So, in terms of examples, it is discussed here. So, when we see all these three specific services, you will have more clarity. Second category. Now, we are talking about specific categories. Now, we will be comparing. We are talking about specific categories. Immobile property related services, boat or vessel related services. Immovable property related services, boat or vessel related services. If it is section 12, if a service is directly in relation to immovable property, and they give the example: architect services, interior decorated services, expert services, estate agent services, grant of right to use immovable property is nothing but renting of immovable property or leasing of immovable property, construction services. These are only examples. They are all directly in relation to immovable property, starting from architect, interior decorator, estate agent services, expert services, including surveyor, expert services, renting of immovable property, leasing of immovable property, construction services. Then they talk about your lodging or accommodation services, including houseboat or vessel. Initially, it was all about immovable property. Now, when it talks about lodging and accommodation services, not only at immovable property, but also at houseboat or vessel, or accommodation services for organizing various functions, and ancillary services. That too. What is meant by ancillary services? Related services. If that is a service, and our ancillary services may also include event management services for that particular place. For in that scenario, your location of immovable property, if it is in India, then place of supply is location of immovable property. If your location of immovable property is in India, your place of supply is location of immovable property. If location of immovable property is outside India, government does not want to lose the revenue. So place of supply is location of recipient. Understand that when we are seeing section 12, both LOS and LO are in India. Both LOS and LO are in India. So what they tell? If the immovable property, obviously when they talk about vessel and houseboat, they are in India. So they are very specifically to immovable property, because you may go for a trip where immovable property may not be in India. So if immovable property is in India, then what they tell? No worries. We'll go with location of immovable property. But if it is not there in India, then we will not tell it is outside India. We want place of supply in India. Then they focus on location of recipient. Now it might be a case where you get multiple answers. Now start getting multiple. There are scenarios where you are going to get multiple answers. I am going for a trip, a combo package trip where my stay will be in 3 different states. Right? I am going to a trip for, say, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir and Sikkim. Or say Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir and Uttarakhand. Maybe geographically they are nearby. I am trying to go for a trip in all these 3 places through one person. Now it is an accommodation service. Accommodation service directly related to immovable property, but and both LOS and LO are in India. Immovable property is also in India, but in 3 different places. The moment you get that, if your place of supply is in multiple states or union territory, then you will be trying to get multiple answers. You are going to try to apply rules. Place of supply each of that state or union territory in proportion to the value of the service of as per the contract. If the contract clearly bifurcates the value, no worries. It tells that for stay in Jammu and Kashmir, this is the value. Stay in Himachal Pradesh, this is the value. Stay in Uttarakhand, this is the value. No worries. I'll go as per the contract. If it is not telling, I have to go as per rule 4. We'll see rule finally. I'll get multiple answers. I have to go as per rule 4. But if the contract is very clear, I need not even touch rule 4. The contract tells us this is the value for Jammu and Kashmir accommodation. This is the value for Himachal Pradesh accommodation. This is the value for your Uttarakhand accommodation. I need not worry. Now, if you see correspondingly section 13. Now, what you have to understand, either the location of supplier is outside India or the location of recipient is in India. Understand this way. Either the immovable property is outside India. You are going for a foreign trip. Recipient is of India, but you're talking about supplier outside India, or ulta, properties in India, but a foreign tourist is coming. So either LOS or LOR is outside India. Section 13 will be touched. Again, they start with the same kind of language. Services directly in relation to immovable property. Examples: architect, interior decorator, same set of examples. Right. Here, the place of supply will be location of immovable property. No ifs and buts. There are 2 bifurcations. If immovable property is in India, then it is location of immutable property. If immutable property is not there in India, then it is location of recipient. See, location of supply should be a last resort. Why they told you location of recipient? But because they know that recipient is in India. Only then you are going to apply section 12 because both LOS and LO are in India. But here they are very clear. They are telling that no worries. No worries. We'll go with location of immutable property. See, in section 13, there's a possibility of export of services. So they have to draft section 13 accordingly. So they tell that it is location of, there's a possibility. It's not always export of services. There's a possibility of export of services. So it is location of immutable property. Again, you see one clear-cut difference. In 12, in addition to immutable property, they also talk about houseboat and vessel. Whereas in section 13, they focus only on immutable property. And here also, there's a possibility that you get multiple location. Now look at the way they tell. If multiple location is such that few immutable properties in India and few is outside India, then they tell that we will treat that everything is in India. First they make it very clear. If you get multiple answers, where few answers is outside India, you are going for a trip where a particular property in the entire package, few properties will be touching outside India, few properties will be touching in India. Then they tell that forget about properties outside India, then we'll treat it as place of supply as location in taxable territory. We'll forget about the immutable property outside India. Supposing you're staying 3 days in an immutable property in India, 10 days in an immutable property outside India in the same package. You're not talking about two separate packages. In the same package, they'll forget about outside India. Place of supply is location in taxable territory. Location in, which means they want to make it fully in India. They don't have any intention to lose the revenue. Lose the revenue. So they clearly tell that we are not ready for pro rata if it is between India and outside India. Yes, if within India you have multiple answers. There are two steps. If within India you have got multiple answers, then we are ready. Then you can go as per the contract value or go as per Rule 8. Rule 8 will again give reference to Rule 4. Rule 8 will again give reference to Rule 4. Look at the irony. They talk in two steps. First step is very clear for them. If you get multiple answers, part in India, part outside India, forget about outside India. Focus only on India. Within India, if you get multiple answers, split as per contract value. If the contract is very clear, split as per contract value. So POs for one contract value will be one state, another contract value will be other state. Split the contract value. So for one part of the value will be one state, another part of the value it will be other state. But if the contract is not, the contract value cannot be split because it was not specifically mentioned in the contract. Then go as per Rule 8. But don't worry, Rule 8 will again give reference to your Rule 4. So the formula is the same. That is for your immutable property, boat or vessel. Boat or vessel was touched only in your section 12, not in section 13. Next is a scenario where you're talking about performance-based services. Now, what is performance-based services? You're going to perform something on the goods or on the person, individual. On the goods or on the individual. So, when you're talking about performance-based services, they do in section 12, they do specially mention in two different places. Now, one type of performance-based services is your restaurant, outdoor catering, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. If you look at all these performance-based services, performance is on the individual. Performance is on the individual. In such cases, they tell that the place of supply is the place of performance. Place of supply is the place of performance. There is a possibility that you get multiple answers, but law does not tells what will happen if at all there is a multiple answer. It is silent. There's a possibility. Same simple example. Your friend's wedding is going to be there. There's a person who's going to take care of his grooming. Correct? And his wedding is there. I mean, a part of the events of your friend's wedding is there in Tamil Nadu and part of the events. The main functions are there in Maharashtra. Don't you think that performance happened in Tamil Nadu as well as Maharashtra? Clearly. But law is silent about it. Law is silent about it. Right? So, it is a possibility because part performance of that grooming happened in Tamil Nadu and part performance happened in Maharashtra. Law is silent about it. But wait, in section 12, this performance based services is split in multiple parts. This is the first part. The second part, they talk about training and performance appraisal services, which is again on individual. Giving trainings to, say, employees of a particular company. There they tell, if it is B2B category, place of supply is location of recipient. If it is B2C, place of supply is place of performance. A company wants to give soft skill training to its employees, and while going on a vacation, they are trying to merge both. Normally that happens, vacation plus training, right? The company is of Tamil Nadu, but the vacation is in, say, Goa. If it is B2B, place of supply is Tamil Nadu. But if it is B2C, place of supply is Goa. Don't you think that it can happen, that the training can happen in multiple places? There's a long vacation come training. It's highly possible. Part of that happened in Goa and part of that happened in Maharashtra. As far as it is B2B, you don't have an issue. Place of supply still remains Tamil Nadu. But if it is B2C, your performance happened in, the soft skill trainer came with the team in Goa as well as he went with the team in Maharashtra. So the answer should be Goa and Maharashtra. Unfortunately, law is silent if the place of supply is in multiple states and union territory. There is one more performance based category, other performance based. Any other performance, by the way, any other performance is covered in residuary category. Any other performance is covered in residuary. When I tell residuary category, I am not going to tell the answer again because we started with residuary category. If it is B2B, location of recipient. If it is B2C, address of recipient on records. If not available, then it is location of supplier. And for that reason, for that particular reason, you had an example of job work services. For that particular reason, you had an example of job work services here. But you did not have that example corresponding in section 13, you'll understand now. Job work services nothing but performing on goods. If you see section 12, they have split your performance base into three parts. First two parts is basically performance on individuals. The next part, which is performance on goods, is not specifically given. It will go in residuary category. It will go in residuary category if LOS and LOR are both within India. What if I tell that LOS and LOR are either LOS is outside India or LOR is outside India? Then they split between two. One, you're talking about performance on individual. Two, you're talking about performance on goods. Performance on, here also we split that into two. Performance on individuals were covered, but two different answers. Correct. For training and performance appraisal, one answer depending on B2B and B2C. For other performance on individual, no B2B and B2C. Directly location of performance. Be it your beauty treatment, cosmetic plastic surgery, be it restaurant, outdoor catering, directly it is location of performance. They were split into two parts. Here there's only one part. If at all, service is supplied to an individual, whether acting as recipient or a person on behalf of recipient. When I'm giving training to you and you are employees of, say, Reliance Limited, performance is on individual, but you are not the recipient. Recipient is Reliance Limited. You are acting on behalf of Reliance Limited. In that case, where when you talk about performance based services, it is but obvious where the physical presence of the individual is required. Only if you come physically, I can perform the services on you. Only if you come physically, I can perform the services on you. In that case, your place of supply is location of performance. But unlike section 12, section 13 recognizes the fact that you can get multiple answers. But just like immovable property, they are very clear, very clear. If you get multiple answers, part in India, part outside India, what to do? If you get multiple answers, part in India, part outside India, they tell that forget about the part outside India, place of supplies, location and taxable territory. In taxability, if you get multiple answers, go with contract value or go with a rule called as Rule 7. Now, the problem is performances can be in multiple states even under Section 12. But there they don't have any rules. But in Section 13, if you get multiple answers, understand that if it is partly outside India, partly in India, forget about outside India, focus only on India. They will totally ignore outside India. Within India, multiple answers, go with the contract value split or go with Rule 7. Go with Rule 7. That is all about the individual part. Now talking about the goods part. Here, the goods part, performance basis specifically addressed. Therefore, if you see the residuary provision, job working was not taken as an example of residuary services. Why? Why? Specifically for performance on goods, there was a specific provision. There was a specific provision where you're talking about supplies on goods which are required to be physically made available by the recipient to the supplier. Only if you give me that goods, I can work on that goods and return you back. For me to work on the goods, you have to give me the goods. You have to hand over the goods to me. I'll work on the goods. I'll going to give back to you. Which means goods does not belong to me. The goods belongs to me. It is not a job working services. Goods does not belong to me. Goods belongs to the recipient. He gives me the goods. I'm doing some work on the goods. I'm doing some work on the goods. And for me to do some work on the goods, physically the goods should come to me. In that scenario, general case, your place of supply is place of performance. And just like this, if you get multiple answers, they are very clear with the 2 steps. What are the 2 steps now? If you get multiple answers where part need is India, part needs outside India, focus on only the entire thing will be treated as place of supply will be location and taxability. They will totally ignore, they will not go pro rata basis. They will totally ignore the performance outside India. And if within India there is multiple states union territory, go as per contract value or go as per Rule 7. Go as per Rule 7. But there are certain special cases. This was a general case. What are those special cases? If the performance is from a remote location outside India or from India but from a remote location by electronic means. See, the goods can be outside India but remotely I am monitoring from India, or the goods can be in India remotely, the performance is done from outside India. Either or, which means goods are at one place but the control of performance is at other place. Focus should be on goods. Focus should be on goods. In that case, place of supply is location of goods. In that case, place of supply is location of goods. If performance is done from a person sitting in India, but the goods are physically outside India, place of supply is outside India. Or if a performance is done by a person sitting outside India through remote control, but the goods are in India, place of supply is India. Right. And the last scenario, for because they want it to be treated as export, the goods are temporarily imported in India for repair or any other treatment or process, which means you are importing in India, you are doing some work and you are re-exporting. See, normally speaking, when you import, work and re-export, where was the work done? Where was the performance done? The performance is done in, this is one of the favorite question of ICA. The performance is done in, whereas if you look at this entire transaction, it is very clear that location of supplier is in India. Location of supplier is in India. Location of recipient is outside India. Very clear. It is not clear in other places. But in this case, it is very clear. LOS is in India. Because I am getting the goods and performing in India. LOR is outside India. How you find out? Because the goods are imported, worked out and given back. Which means recipient is outside India. Recipient is outside India. Now they are very clear that if I go with general rule, LOS is very clearly in India, LOR is very clearly outside India. This clarity is not there in other provisions. It may be ulta. But here it is evidently clear that LOS is in India and LOR is outside India. If they go with normal place of supply, which is location of performance, it will be in India. It may not qualify for export. It may not qualify for export. Therefore, they tell that go with residuary provisions. Go with, they don't give an answer here. They tell that go with residuary provision. Now, what is residuary provision talking about? If you go back to residuary provision, what is residuary provision talking about in section 13? Location of recipient. If not available, then it is location of supplier. But what is the prima facie answer? Location of recipient. Don't you think that when I import, work and re-export, I know the location of recipient? Right? If it is location of recipient, which is outside India, now there is a very high probability that it will be treated as export of services. All that I need to satisfy is get foreign currency. Get foreign currency. It will qualify as export. Right? So when you talk about goods performance, it is split into three parts. One, general part. Second, electronic means. Third, a very specific situation where for the first time government shows an intention to give the benefit to the person, assessee, telling that we are ready to treat it as export of services. If we go with general provision, it may not be treated as export, but if we give an exception, it may qualify to be an export with the condition that you receive foreign currency. That being the case, they give a separate formula. Right. So here in section 13, performance is entirely discussed in a special provision, be it individual, be it goods. Yes, in one place in goods, they ask you to go back to residuary provision to give the benefit of export of services. Right. So first was general case, second was immovable property related, third was performance based, and we are trying to see the differences, what happens in section 12 and what happens in section 13. Now it is event based. Now when you talk about event based, in section 12, admission to any event, they specifically talk about admission to any event, be it a park or ancillary services to admission. Place of supply is location of that event or park. Again, they fail to understand that it might be multiple answers. How? In a combo contract, you might be paying for a package where you will be allowed to go to admission in different places. Say for example, you have purchased the tickets for World Cup where there's a combo package if you purchase the World Cup tickets to be held in all the places in India. This is recently going on. Now, what is the admission? Is it in one place or multiple places? Location supplier is in India, recipient is in India, but events are there in multiple places. They fail to recognize that if there is multiple places, what will be place of supply? This failing to recognize multiple places happens in performance based and event based with respect to section 12. In section 13, they recognize it. It is with respect to section 12. There may be other category where you are talking about organization of any event, including ancillary services to organization, including even sponsorship service to an event. Then see in 12, there are places where they categorize as B2B, B2C, and there are places where they don't categorize as B2B, B2C. So here they categorize it as B2B, B2C. If it is B2B plus event is in India or outside India, place of supply is location of recipient. If it is B2B, they don't worry. Whether event is in India or outside India, it is location of recipient. If it is B2C, they now start worrying. If event is in India, it is location of event. If it is B2B, B2C, event outside India, it is location of recipient. But in one place, they do realize the fact that the answer can be multiple places. Where when it is B2C and when the event is in India, where place of supply is location of your event, there they tell that okay, if it is multiple states, then we'll have a particular thing that was not there for admission, by the way. This recognition of multiple answer was not there for admission to an event. For your tickets, it was not there. It is for what? Organization. The people who are organizing it, they will organize in multiple states the same World Cup. The people who are organizing it will be organizing in multiple states for them. If it is B2B, don't worry. Need not worry whether event is in India or outside India, it is location of recipient to give the benefit of ITC. If it is B2C and location is in India, it is location of event if it is multiple states. If I am organizing an event for my client which is not registered, and the events is happening in multiple states, then they give a solution for me as an organizer. Split the answer based on contract. If not, go with rule 5. Split the answer based on contract. If not, go with rule 5. Basically, they tell that go with contract value. If the contract value has split the values clearly. If not, go with rule 5. This solution is given for whom? Only for an organizer of an event, not for when you talk about admission to events. Not for admission to events. Let us take the World Cup match. Right. Admission services is done by BCCI. But organizing, where BCCI is the supplier and common public is the recipient. Whereas when you talk about organizing work, supplier is someone else and recipient is BCCI. Recipient is BCCI. You getting the difference? So they realize this fact for organizing but not for admission. But when you start seeing a section 13, they make your life very simple. They tell that we don't want to go with this admission separate answer, organizing separate. Here you have different answer. For admission, they don't ask any question. It is location of event. For organizing, they ask multiple questions. B2B, one answer. Whether in India, outside India, LOR. B2C, if event is in India, one answer, location of event. B2C, event outside India, then they tell that we'll go with location of recipient. Another answer. There are 3 multiple answers. But if you see section 13, life is very, very simple. Why? Now they tell that whether it is admission or organization or ancillary services, they make things very, 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 very simple. And they tell that we will go with location of event. Location of event. But the moment they make it simple, they are very clear with one point. What is that point? If you get multiple answers and if part of the answer is in India and part of the answer is outside India, we'll focus on only location in taxable territory. We'll ignore in totality whatever happened outside India. And within India, if you get multiple answers, go with the contract split up. If not, go with rule 9. Don't worry, rule 9 will give reference to back to rule 5. Your rule 9 will give back reference to rule 5. Rule 7 gives back reference to rule 4. So rule 9 will give back reference to rule 5. It will not give a separate answer. It will tell that, okay, whatever was said in your rule 5, same thing will be applied. But the difference is, rule 5 with respect to section 12 talks only about organizing. Whereas, rule 9 which gives back reference to rule 5 in section 13 talks both about admission and organizing. But when section 13 will be applicable? When either LOS or LOR is outside India. Either LOS or LOR is outside. It is highly possible. Think of this situation. What if the organizers of this World Cup event are a supplier who's outside India? It is highly possible. BCCI may decide that, okay, let us have organizers outside India. Right? It is highly possible. Or it is highly possible that few organizers, there may be multiple contracts entered by BCCI. Few of the organizers are within India. For them, you are going to apply section 12. LOS, LOR both in India. Few of the organizers are outside India. For them, you are going to apply section 13. Because LOS is outside India, LOR is in India. Now, but if you look at this particular point, there was one specific point, sponsorship services. Organizing including sponsorship services. But when you talk about sponsorship services here, they are not specifically mentioned about sponsorship services. Sir. You have to go back to residuary provision. What is the residuary provision in section 13? Location of recipient. If it is not ordinarily available in ordinary course of business, go with location of supplier. So in section 12, there is admission, one formula, organizing including sponsorship, another formula, split into 3 parts. Whereas in section 13, whether it is admission or organization, one formula. But for sponsorship specifically, they have not mentioned. It will go in residuary category. It will go in, believe me, only if you have a comparative analysis of both, you will be able to give, if at all ICA decides to give a question where they want to check whether you are aware of the provisions of the same type in section 12 and section 13, which ICA does with respect to immovable property. Which ICA does, but with respect to a very particular category, immovable, it keep doing. But if it start doing with other services, say for example sponsorship services, you should be aware where it is actually covered. What was the situation when it is in section 12? What is the situation when it is section 13? Now, main services were your immovable property related services, we have done, performance done, and event based done. For immovable property, be it section 12 or section 13, when you get multiple answers, that is a solution. For performance based, multiple answers, that's no solution in section 12, that's a solution in section 13. For event based, there is no solution in section 12 with respect to admission, but solution with respect to organizing. In section 13, for every cases, whether it is admission or organizing, there is a solution if you get multiple answers. Now you are talking about transportation of goods services. Transportation of goods services, where LOS and LOR both are in India. If there is a transportation of goods services, including by way of mail or courier, including by way of mail or courier, if it is section 12, and if it is B2B, B2, the moment they try to bifurcate B2B, B2C, B2B means location of place of supply is location of recipient. If it is B2C, place of supply is where the goods are handed over for transportation. Handed over for transportation, which means origin of goods, which means you can understand this as origin of goods. There's one more category here which was added later on. If the transportation of goods is outside India for export of goods, whether B2B, B2C, forget the fact whether it is for B2B or B2C. In that case, your place of supply is destination of goods. It does not mean that it is export. This is a transaction which will be surely IGST, but it is not export of services. Why? Why? Place of supply will be outside India because the goods are transported for export purposes, means the goods are going to go outside India, and place of supply is, and the place of supply is destination of goods which is outside India. So your POS is outside India. But what is required for export of services? LOS in India, true. LOR, not true. You are seeing section 12 where both LOS and LOR in India. So that will not be satisfied. It is a transaction which is a short IGST transaction. Short IGST transaction, but not export. But not export. A transportation company can give you services as a supplier, exporter of goods in India. I am taking the services from a transporter as an exporter of goods in India. Who's the supplier? Transporter. Who's the recipient? Exporter of goods in India. Both are in India. Where is the place of supply? Outside India. Whether it is export of services? No. Whether GST will be charged? Yes. What GST? IGST. What GST? Both the transporter and the exporter of goods can be in Tamil Nadu. Can be in Tamil Nadu. Still it will be IGST transaction. Still it will be IGST transaction. Now, when you talk about the same transportation of goods category in section 13 where either LOS is in India or LOS is outside India or LOR is outside India, there's a small difference here. First, they talk only about transportation of goods other than by way of mail or courier. Now, you may wonder what about mail or courier? Mail or courier will go in normal category, general residuary category. For transportation of goods by way of mail or courier, you are going to resort to section 13 subsection 2 residuary category where the answer will be LOR. If LOR is not available in ordinary course of business, then it is LOS, residuary category. There it is a common answer. There it is a common answer. Multiple answers, but common provision. There's a common provision. You have multiple answers. B2B one category, B2C one another category. Transportation of goods for export purposes another category. Whether it is B2B or B2C. Here, The situation itself was split into two. One, normal transportation of goods. Other, transportation of goods by way of mail or courier. If it is by way of mail or courier, go to general category. If it is other than mail and courier, then there's a separate answer. Then the answer is destination of goods. They want it to be treated as export. If at all LOS is in India, LOR is outside India. POS, they want it to be outside India. POS, they want it to be outside India. Now understand that they are not always focusing on export. It can be reverse also. It can be reverse also. Supposing you are importing the goods, LOS outside India, LOR you are in India, place of supply, destination in India, then it will be import of services. So here there's no clarity. See, in certain places I have given that there's absolute clarity what they want. In this case it can be either or. It can be either or. Now the moment we see transportation of the goods, the next thing obviously which will come in your mind is transportation of passenger services. So when you talk about transportation of passenger services, if at all transportation of passenger happens in section 12, which means both LOS and LOR in India, normal category. If it is normal category, B2B, answer is very clear, LOR. B2C, it is passenger embarking the conveyance, which means origin of passenger. Which means origin of passenger. That is embarking the conveyance for continuous journey means, it does not mean if the train is starting from say Kanyakumari and it is going to say the last part of Kashmir. It is not Kanyakumari. It is the location where the passenger enters that conveyance. Where the passenger enters that, he may have entered that conveyance at Bangalore. So place of supply is Bangalore. Right. But if you're talking about a special scenario, what is that special scenario? Travel pass. You have passes. You have discussed about bus pass. Everyone is aware of bus pass. When you talk about bus pass, you pay a lump sum amount and you continuously keep traveling. If you talk about metros, there will be pass. If you talk about even trains, people who are traveling to Tirupur from Coimbatore, they don't do you think that they'll be taking pass? Yes. Now in case of pass, what is even for airlines, if you are a regular visit customer, you will be getting passes where you will tell that okay, you can within this year you can travel 20 times subject to certain conditions, ABC conditions, right? You get a pass. What is difficulty with respect to pass? Difficulty with respect to passes, you don't know your entry point. Every time it will change. There is a one contract, but you are going to travel multiple times. So here, with respect to B2B, there's no issue. It will be LOR. Whether it is a normal case or special case, B2B, they want to give you the credit, it will be LOR. But with respect to B2C, it will be the address on the record, address of the recipient on records. If not available, go with location of supplier. So B2B, whether it is a normal case or a pass case, the answer is very simple. It is location of recipient. B2C, in a normal case, you do know that it is one ticket, one travel. Then you talk about when you are entering that conveyance. But if it is B2C and it is a case of pass, you will be using that pass for multiple travels. Then go with what? Address on record, address of the recipient on records. If it is not available, go with location of supply. It is very similar to your residuary provision of section 12. Though the answer is given here separately, the answer is taken from your residuary provision. What if it is section 13? Either the airline example is outside India and passenger is of India, or the airline is of India, passenger is of outside India, LOS or LOR is outside India. You are going to take section 13, transportation of passengers. Now no bifurcation. They tell that it is the place where passenger embarks the conveyance for continuous journey. To put in a simple terms, they have not recognized here what if it is a pass case. There might be travel pass even for a foreigner who is using Indian Airlines. But they have not recognized that in section 13. It may not be much, but it is possible. They have not recognized that in section 13. It's a very simple answer, straightforward answer. that where you enter the conveyance for a continuous journey. Now, when you talk about passenger transportation services, the related services which will come is services on board during transportation. Services on board a conveyance during passenger transportation services. A classic example of which you can take is when you are going by, say, airline, services on board a conveyance might be food services. Might be food services. Correct. If it is services on board during passenger transportation service. Now, if it is section 12, which means LOS as well as LOR is in India, place of supply is the first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance. The same is true in section 13 as well. Now, they cannot see which passenger entered the conveyance. All of us can be the passenger in that particular conveyance. I may have entered the first point of that conveyance. You may have entered the third point. Someone else may have entered the fifth point, etc., etc. So, it is not possible to find when that passenger entered the conveyance. So, what is the simple thing? Go with the first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance of that journey. The same is the answer for the first time, even in section 13. Go with what? First scheduled point of departure of that conveyance. Supposing the journey starts from Coimbatore via Bangalore, via Mumbai to Delhi. The answer will be, this journey starts from Coimbatore via Bangalore, via Mumbai, finally to Delhi. Few of the passengers may have entered the journey at Coimbatore, few of them Bangalore, few of them Mumbai. But for all these three passengers, whether he has entered in the conveyance in Coimbatore or Bangalore or Delhi, if they have taken the services on board a conveyance, POS will be, see, for their travel, POS is different. For their ticket, POS is different. For their travel, POS, if it is B2B, it is location of recipient. If it is B2C, it is a place when we are entering the conveyance for continuous journey. We are not talking about past case in section 12. In section 13, when you are entering the conveyance for continuous journey. Answer is different. Answer is different for your ticket. But what about the services consumed on board a conveyance? For all the passengers, that's one single answer. The airline company or the trains, they cannot keep track which passenger entered at what point of time. Correct? I mean, why I'm making example of airline? Train. They will come and take your orders. What is the place of supply for them? Very common that when you are traveling in train, 110%, you will surely see a person who is coming and taking your orders. That is a classic example of services on board a conveyance during your journey. What is the place of supply for them? Are they going to differentiate whether you are from India, whether you are from outside India? They are not in a position to differentiate. Then they will go with what? The first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance. Now, when you talk about the next category, telecommunication services. Telecommunication services. Please understand that the bifurcation of telecommunication services that we are going to discuss is given in only section 12. In section 13, it will go in normal category. If at all LOS or LOR is outside India for your telecommunication services, be your telephone connection or mobile phone connection or internet services, in section 13, it will go in residual category where place of supply is location of recipient. If not available in ordinary course of business, it is location of supplier. The entire discussion, the entire detailed discussion which is there is only in section 12 where both LOS as well as LOR are in India. If at all, you have to split. First category, if at all, you are talking about fixed telecommunication line, lease circuits, internet lease circuit or cable or dish antenna. That is the first category. Second category, you are talking about your mobile connection or internet services. See, one is with line, with particular telecommunication line, one is wireless, one is with wire, one is wireless. So, categorize them as wire and wireless. Wire and wireless. The first category is of wire and second is of wireless. If it is with wires, then your place of supply is location where such line or circuits or cable connection or dish antenna are installed because it is with wire. installation of that. Installation of that. And in case you get multiple answers, what do you think about big corporates? They'll have all these services together. Right? They will have a discussion with Geo company and tell that, see, we are having multiple places across India. I cannot pay you for different services, different time. I want a big discount. You give me internet services in one package, not only for my branches in Tamil Nadu, but also for my branches in different parts of India. But don't you think that Geo company will have installation of wires in different places? What do you think? How that big companies get internet connection at a very faster pace compared to we who are getting at a normal pace? Why? There will be specific installation for these companies. Initially, they have to pay a big price because special installation will be only for them. And when I tell special installation, it's not that only fully special installation. Already there will be routes. In addition to those routes, they'll be giving a dedicated line. Simple terms. There will be dedicated line only for your company, where you will never face this normal issues where the net connection is now slowed down, because there will be dedicated lines. Right? You will be premium customers of them. Now, when there is a dedicated lines, circuits are installed in multiple states. For you. Don't you think that your place of supply will be multiple states? In that case, if place of supply is in multiple states, then place of supply each of that state in proportion to... See, first thing that they do in all the cases, the moment you get multiple answers, go with contract value. See whether the contract has split that answer. If not, go with rule 6. As a rule where it tells that how you are going to bifurcate that. Go with rule 6. The first part will tell that go with the contract bifurcation. If no bifurcation in contract, go with rule 6. That is the first part. Now, second part, you are talking about wireless. The first part is all about wire. Wire means where the wire is installed. In simple language, wireless. Now, in wireless, they talk about multiple split ups. If it is postpaid, billing address of the recipient. Which will enable him to take the credit. If it is prepaid, through a selling agent, reseller or distributor of SIM card or recharge also. If it is via someone, prepaid through someone, then place of supply will be address of that selling agent, reseller or distributor. Now understand that there is another prepaid by any person to the final subscriber. Let us understand both together. Place of supply is location where the payment is received or the vouchers are sold. And if payment is made by internet banking or electronic mode, then it is the address on records of the supplier, whatever this address is available on records. Now try to understand both together. You are getting wireless connection through an intermediary. See, nowadays directly we make the payment. But don't you remember that even today there are a lot of you who will go via an intermediary. So you are talking about a Geo, then there is a seller or distributor or reseller, then there is a final subscriber. Now, what they are trying to tell? Between Geo and seller, distributor, reseller, what is the place of supply? For them, they tell that they want to give the credit to the seller or the distributor or the reseller. Right? They tell that it is location of that seller or the reseller or the distributor. They want to give the credit to him. But there's a second possibility where you are talking about directly Geo to final subscriber. So in this second case, where you are talking about Geo directly to final subscriber or selling agent, reseller, distributor to final subscriber. They have a separate answer. They are telling that where we receive the payment or where the vouchers are sold. Basically their address. But if the payment is made via electronic means internet, then they tell that whatever location of recipient is available on the records. Then they tell that, okay, if you make cash payment, POS is location where the payment is received or the vouchers are sold. It is nothing but the location of the supplier. If at all you are making the payment via internet banking, then it might be your location. It is the location. It is the location of recipient on records, which means they want to promote payment via electronic means. Why? Only when you make the payment via electronic means, at times you might be able to get the credit. This is more real when you're talking about the seller being in a different state and you file subsidizer being in a different state. We can connect to it easily because we are on the borders of two states. Being in Coimbatore, I can get the recharge done from my friend in Kerala. Now, if I am making payment every now and then when I meet him by cash, right, or by check, but not via internet means, not internet banking or any other electronic means. What will happen? POS is where the vouchers are sold, where the payment is being received. Kerala, I may not be able to take the credit. But if the payment is made via internet banking or electronic means, then POS is location of recipient on records of the supplier. Clear? Any other telecommunication services, support services. Here they are talking about the support services. Place of supply is address of the recipient on records. If not available, location of recipient. Now, when I talk about any other telecommunication services, what it means? Support services. You are not talking about the wire services, wireless services. You have some issues in your connection. There's a support service being given to you for which an amount is being charged. Then it is address of the recipient on records. If not, go with the location of supplier. Go with the location of. This detailed discussion is there only for section 12. Wireless support services. That's detailed discussion only in section 12. In section 13, if telecommunication service comes, go to residuary category. What is the answer in the residuary category? Location of recipient. If not available in ordinary course of business, location of supplier. Location of supplier. The last few services which we are discussing are related to specified services. The last few set of services. Banking services, intermediary services, short-term hiring up to 1 month of any means of transport. Excluding aircraft or vessel but including yacht, recreational ships. Now, what are the services being discussed here? Banking, intermediary, short-term hiring services up to, if it is more than 1 month, go to normal category. Up to 1 month of any means of transport. I mean, we are talking about if you are going for a vacation, you will be taking short-term hiring of vehicles, any means of transport, but it should not be. What about aircraft and vessel? General category. But if it is recreational ships, yacht, then it is covered. But when it is covered, be it any means of transport other than aircraft and vessel, but including recreational ships, yacht, the condition is it should be only up to 1 month. If that is a scenario, all in this actually is discussed in section 13. In section 12, they have a special formula only for banking related services. For banking related services, including stock broking, place of supplies, location of recipient on records of the supplier. If not available, location of supplier. At times for few banking services, your address will not be available. Supposing you are taking the services of DD charges are taken. It is highly possible that bank is not having your address. Then they'll go with location of supplier. Now, all the other services, including intermediary services, real estate services, other than stock broking service, because stock broking services is covered along with banking services. For all of them, if it is B2B, you are going for general category. B2B, location of recipient. B2C, address of the recipient on records. If not available, it is location of supplier, because it goes in your residuary category. So, in section 12, they address only banking and financial services. But they include one more extra services there. What is that? Stock broking. Banking and financial services along with stock broking. There they give a separate formula that we will go with the address of the recipient on records. If not available, we'll go with location of supplier. For all the other services that is discussed here, you go with the normal provision. B2B, location of recipient, B2C, address of the recipient on records. If not, location of supplier. But in section 13, you have all the banking services to the account holders. They very clearly tell we don't want LOR. We cannot focus on where is the recipient located, because either the supplier or the recipient is outside India. They want to make their job very simple. They tell that place of suppliers, location of recipient. For other banking services, which is not to accounting holders, it goes in residuary category. If it is residuary category, go with location of recipient. If not available, then go with location of supplier. For banking services to account holders, one formula, simple formula, LOS. For banking services to other than account holders, they tell that go with normal category, go with location of recipient. If not available, go with location of supplier. Now for intermediary services and for hiring services, which is for short term, including all means of transportation but excluding aircrafts and vessels, but including yacht, they again want to make their life very simple. They tell that we'll go with location of supplier. See, in section 13, they cover banking services to account holders, intermediary services, short-term hiring up to 1 month of all means of transportation, including yachts, but not aircraft and vessel, where they tell that we are not going to take any headache. We are not going to see recipient and all. Understand with this logic. They are talking about short-term hiring within 1 month. If you are going to Goa for say 10 days, will they take efforts to see where you are located? Don't you think that they will have your address? For sure. The first thing that you have to give is your license. Which will surely contain your address. But they are telling that we will not take headache and all. If it is only for 1 month, why to take all this headache? We'll go with location of supplier. Right? This example is more important when a foreigner is coming, because LOS is in India, LOR is outside India. They don't want to take the headache. But what if a foreigner has come out from outside India, which normally they do, staying in Goa for more than 1 month, which normally they do. Their vacation is very long. Then they tell that no. Now you have to go with normal provision. If, because it is not for 1 month, it is for more than 1 month, you will go with normal provision. Normal provision tells what? Place of supplies, location of recipient, if it is not available in ordinary course of business, then it is location of supplier. Don't you think that the foreigner who is coming to India and taking the vehicle on hire for 2 months, don't you think that that supplier would have taken the proofs? Don't you think that address is already clearly available on records in ordinary course of business? So it will be location of recipient. Right. Now, insurance services. Insurance services specifically is given in section 12, not given in section 13. If it is insurance services with respect to section 12, it tells that B2B LOR, B2C address of the recipient on record. In both the ways, it is LOR. If it is B2B, location of recipient which is registered. If it is B2C, again it is location of recipient which is on records. And here they don't give an exception that what if it is not available. Surely it will be available. Now, if it is section 13, they go with residuary provision. They don't have a specific provision. They go with residuary provision. What is the residuary provision? It is LOR. Understand that exception will not work out, because surely it will be available. When that exception comes, only if it is not available in ordinary course of business, you will go with LOS, but this will not be clearly there in this particular scenario. Now, last two categories where we are talking about your advertisement services. Now, understand that this advertisement services is very specific to your section 12. Section 13 goes with normal category. What is the normal category in section 13? Location of recipient. If not available in ordinary course of business, location of supplier. Simple. Section 13 does not have any special portion. Even in section 12, it goes in normal category if it is advertisement to other than government. with normal category. What is the normal category? What is the normal category? What is the normal category answer? If it is B2B, location of recipient. B2C, address of the recipient on records. If not available, go with location of supplier. Normal category. Then for what there is a special category? Only for a special scenario where advertisement services is to central government, state government, local authority or a statutory body or a statutory. Supplier is not government. Recipient is government. Recipient is government. Where the advertisement service is given to a government. We are talking about recipient being the government. Central government, state government, local authority or a statutory body. Understand in very simple terms. You will see advertisements on Indian Railways. One such example. Don't you think that advertisement which is on Indian Railways is advertised at multiple places? The train is going to go to multiple places. That advertisement services will be received by government not only in one place but also in other places wherever the train is going. Wherever the train is going. So they tell that for the first time you will find that they start with this answer telling that place of supply is each of that state where advertisement is done. They by default know that high possibility that there will be multiple answers. High possibility that there will be multiple answers. So they tell that we will go with multiple answers, and if at all there are multiple answers, first step always contract bifurcation. If not, rule 3. If not, rule 3. So when you're talking about advertisement to government, it is very common. Okay, just take another example. When you watch television, you'll find advertisement of Delhi government. When you're watching a channel sitting in Tamil Nadu, don't you think that advertisement service was received even by a recipient in? The reach was even to a recipient in Tamil Nadu. So they will tell that answer is multiple states. Now, how to bifurcate that multiple states? Basically, it will be based on contract value, which is possible in some cases, not possible in many of the cases. You have to go with rule 3 formula. You have to go with, which means the supplier will have a big headache. Supplier of advertisement services to government will always have a big headache because we will have multiple place of supplies. For one value, you will have multiple place of supply. The broadcaster of the advertisement of say Delhi government, say for example any television channel. If that television channel is advertising for a particular government, they will, and they obviously will get that. What is the main revenue for the television channels apart from your subscription? It is only the advertisements. And that being the case, most of the times when you are watching television, you see more of advertisement than of the content. Correct? They'll come in 2 minutes and again tell that we'll go for a break. Right? That is the main service. Now here we are going to go with multiple states, and how to bifurcate in multiple states will be discussed in rule 3. By default, they understand it will be multiple states and that bifurcation will be there in rule 3. And the last category is OIDARS category. In OIDARS category, they don't talk anything about anything in section 12. If at all you are a supplier of OIDARS in India and recipient is also of India, it will go in residuary category. It will go and sit in your residuary category. If you see initially, OIDRS was covered in your residuary category. What will be the answer? Residuary category, what is the answer in section 12? If it is B2B, LOR. If it is B2C, address of the recipient on records. If not available, LOS. This is discussed only for whom? This is discussed only for, and this is actually discussed in section 13 read along with section 14. We are reading both. Section 13 read along with section 14. It is discussed for a supplier of OIDRS outside India and recipient being in India. Place of supply will be location of recipient. Place of supply will be location of recipient. Now, location of recipient shall be deemed to be in taxable territory. They first tell that place of supply is recipient. Then they tell that this location of recipient will treat it is in India. If any of the two tests are satisfied. What are the two tests? Either address of recipient is in taxable territory or billing address is in taxable territory. Normal address or the billing address, or The card through which payment is made is in taxable territory, or the bank account through which payment is made is in taxable territory, or the IP address of the recipient is in taxable territory, or the SIM card through which you are getting this telecommunication OIDR services is in taxable territory, or the fixed landline is in taxable territory. 2 plus 2 plus 3. First two address, next two payment modes, last three it is all about your IP address. Either your IP address or your SIM card if at all you are using your phone to get the services, or your fixed landline in taxable territory. If any of these two are in India, they will treat it as in India. Now, why they tell it? If OIDR supplier is outside India and if recipient is in India, place of supply is also in India, it will be treated as import of services. It will be treated as import of services. And mind you, in this case of import of services, normally it is RCM, but in this case it will be FCM. OIDARS supplier outside India will be paying GST. They will be filing a special return. They will be taking a special registration. They will be filing a special return called as GSTR 5A. They will be filing a special return called as GSTR 5A. Right. They want to make sure that there is no differentiation between OIDRs in India, because he is going to pay GST. Even if this OIDRs, all the apps that you have is nothing but online information and database access and retrieval services. What is meant by OIDRs services? Two important criteria. It is automated. It is an automated service through information technology with minimum or no human intervention. With minimum or no human intervention. All the apps that you use are OIDRs, automatically related. Be it any app you take it in on your phone, it is OIDRs. Even including Facebook, WhatsApp, they're all OIDRs category. Automated through information technology, without or with minimum or without any human intervention. YouTube, OIDRs. So all OIDARS services. If it is OIDRs services from outside India to a recipient in India, it is importation of services. Place of supply is location of recipient, and they will treat that recipient as in India. First they tell place of supply is LOR. Then they tell that they will treat that recipient as in India if any of the 2 out of 7 condition is satisfied. Initially they don't tell that LOS is in taxable territory. They tell that it is LOR. POS is LOR. Then they tell that LOR will treat it to be in India if any of the 2 out of 7 conditions is satisfied, to make sure that there is a maximum possibility that it will be import of services, and that OIDR supplier who is sitting outside India needs to make payment in India. See, it can be ulta also. It's not always freeze. Ulta also. OIDRs can be a app creator can be in India and the customer base can be outside India. Then also the same concept will apply. Place of supply will be LOR. And if the customer base is outside India, that LOR will always be outside India, because they will not satisfy any test out of 7. They will not satisfy any test out of 7. So that is all with respect to your place of supply in terms of section 12 and section 13. Now when changing your place of supply for your goods transportation sector, goods transportation services, whether it is section 12 or whether it is section 13, there is change in both. Section 12 where you are talking about your location of supplier and the location of recipient in India, and section 13 where you talk about location of supplier or location of recipient outside India. Here in section 12 subsection 8, they have made a change that in section 12 subsection 8, whether the transportation of goods is by way of any mode including mail or courier, even in a case where the goods are going outside India. Even in a case where the goods are going outside India. Even in that case. So if it is B2B, B2C. So even in a case where the goods are being transported outside India, but the supplier and recipient are India. So even in this case, for B2B, place of supply is location of registered recipient. And for B2C, place of supply is location of goods where they are handed over for transportation. Where they are handed over for your transportation. And in section 13, now it is now no more in special provision, it is taken to your general provision, section 13 subsection 2. Again, when you are talking about your transportation of goods by any sector, including mail or courier, including your mail or courier. Please understand, in this case, your B2B, B2C doesn't seems to be relevant. If the recipient address is there in the records, it is known in ordinary course of business, or if the recipient address is not known in ordinary course of business, so it goes in this particular manner. If you know the recipient's address in ordinary course of business, then place of supply is location of the recipient as per the address on records. If recipient address is not known in ordinary course of business, then the place of supply is location of supplier himself. So this is the change which is brought in your goods transportation sector. Whether the transportation of goods is by any means including mail or courier, whether it is within India or it is going from India to outside India, but supplier and recipient are in India. If it is section 12, B2B, location of registered recipient. B2C, where the goods are handed over for transportation. If it is section 13, for transportation of goods including mail or courier, it is taken to the general provision. What is general provision? If recipient's address is available in ordinary course of business, it is location of recipient. If recipient address is not available in ordinary course of business, it is location of supplier. So that is the change which has been there in your goods transportation sector, place of supply. So when you talk about your other provisions of your IGST Act, we have already seen what is section 15, which is supply of goods to international tourists. Section 16 talks about your zero rated supply. What is zero rated supply? We have already discussed in your ITC that it means what? Export of goods or services, or supply of goods or services to special economic zone unit or developer of SEZ. What is the speciality of SEZ? Normally, if you don't make any payment of output tax, you will not get the credit. But when it is zero rated supply, even if you are not paying output tax because you are going with letter of undertaking or bond, even then all the credit other than block credit you can avail. Not only that you can avail, you can even apply for refund. For zero rated supply under section 16, you do have two options. First option, supply under bond or LUT. Normally bond will not come for normal assets, only LUT will be there. Letter of undertaking, a simple letter will be there without payment of output IGST, which means you will not have any output, but still you have input tax credit. On your export or supply to SEZ, you will not have any output tax because you have supplied under LUT. Still you will be taking input tax credit. Then on the basis of rule 89.4, apply the formula and get the refund of unutilized credit. Refund of unutilized credit. That's the first option. Second option, what you can do is supply on payment of output IGST. Pay the output IGST. When you are paying the output IGST, you will use the available credit. If not, you will pay by cash. Balance portion you will pay by cash. So when you are paying your output IGST on export of goods or services or supply of goods or services to SEZ, you will use the credit. So your credit will decrease. If not available, balance portion, if required, you will use the cash. So pay output IGST by using the credit ledger or cash ledger. Then get the entire output IGST as refund in your bank account. Which means here also indirectly your credit ledger is refunded. Indirectly. How? When you paid your output IGST, what you have done? You use your credit ledger, whatever was available, then you went with your cash ledger. Right? Suppose your output IGST is 10 lakhs, your credit is 8 lakhs. So you used 8 lakhs credit ledger, it got reduced and you paid it 2 lakhs by cash. But when you get the refund, you'll get the refund of what? Entire 10 lakhs. Entire 10 lakhs. That is the speciality of your zero rated supply. What is happening in the entire transaction when you talk about your zero rated supply? What is happening when you talk about your entire transaction and talk about zero rated supply? The goods or services are going outside India. Therefore, there is no payment of taxes in India. Simultaneously, you need to understand that whatever taxes was collected in India before the sale, that is at the purchase point, that also got refunded. So, the goods or services when they're going outside India, it is tax free. It is tax free. That is all about your section 16. Then you have certain provisions with respect to your transfer of amount between governments. Mainly, if you see, there was section 17A, which you have already completed. 17A. 17A was dealing with what? Cash ledger to cash ledger. 17A we have already completed. Section 19. That also we have already completed. So what is actually left out? It is section 18 and section 17. Now what are these two provisions? First, let us understand section 18. When you are paying your output tax by using the credit. When you are paying your output tax by using the credit, at times what you'll do? You'll use IGST credit for paying CGST. See, IGST will be with central government but acting as custodian. If IGST credit is used for CGST tax, then finally what will happen? That amount that central government was having in the account of IGST will be permanently given to central government account. Central government, supposing, is having IGST amount, say of 10 lakh rupees and 10 lakhs credit, out of which 5 lakhs is used for paying CGST. Please understand that IGST is always there with central government as a custodian, but it does not belong to the revenue of the government. It is not actually the revenue of the government. So now what will happen? To make it permanent revenue, central government will transfer from IGST to CGST. Now it becomes permanent revenue of central government. Now ulta case, ulta scenario, IGST is used against SGST or CGST, SGST or UTGST. Now understand that IGST revenue, when I tell credit, obviously central government would have got that amount earlier. When IGST ITC is used for output, this IGST ITC, that revenue in the earlier chain, the first previous chain, would have gone to central government pocket, but that now amount is used for what? Paying the state government's output tax. Don't you think that now central government should transfer the amount from IGST pocket to the respective state? So that transfer will happen. When IGST input is used for CGST output, central government will make that amount permanently transferred to CGST. When IGST input is used for SGST or UTGST output, central government now will transfer that amount from IGST pocket and give it to, now it is not only just doing the book entry, now it has to give it to state government or the union territory. Now understand there's one more possibility. SGST credit used for IGST output. SGST credit used for IGST output. What will happen when SGST credit is used for IGST output? State government has to transfer that amount to central government. State government has to transfer that amount to central government. So when SGST credit is used for IGST output, state government will transfer to central government. Now the last part, section 17. What if IGST revenue is there in the balance? There will be certain IGST credit which will never be taken. If IGST credit is taken, we are going to discuss section 18. And how transfer will be done, we can easily understand. IGST credit used for CGST output, permanently go to central government. IGST credit used for SGST output, permanently transferred to state government. SGST credit used for IGST output, state government has to transfer it to central government. So that is understandable. What if I tell that ITC itself is not taken? Now when this will happen? If at all there is IGST being paid on interstate supply, including import of goods. But that is by whom? That is by unregistered person or composition taxable person or a registered person where ITC is ineligible, or a registered person where ITC is not available. In all such cases, we find that ITC is not taken. Correct? That is IGST amount by the recipient is unregistered, he cannot take the credit. The recipient is composition scheme dealer, he cannot take the credit. The recipient is registered person but not eligible for ITC, not taken. The recipient is registered person, eligible for ITC but he has not availed for some reason. Now this amount, for the time being, we have always discussed that IGST amount will be there with central government as a custodian. Now this amount is an extra amount with the central government. Correct? It will never touch the section and never enter section 18 so that it will be finally transferred. Now this amount is an excess amount which remains with central government. Now what will happen? Central government, finally this is untouched amount, which is now excess amount with the central government. Central government will take its share, 50%. Balance should be given to whom? Balance should be given to whom? State government or union territory. But if they are able to find the state government or union territory, they will give. If not, they will not be giving. So what is the steps or sequence? First, if the taxable person is identifiable and if place of supply is determinable, give it to that state where actually supply went. If you know who supplied it and where was the place of supply, give it to that particular state. Give it to that particular state. If taxable person is identifiable, place of supply is not determinable. I mean, you know that this supply was made by so and so person. You're not now tagging from the angle of the recipient because recipient did not take the credit. But you are able to trace the supplier. You are able to trace he is identifiable, but place of supply is not determinable. Then what to do? That taxable person would have paid to governments. That supplier would have paid to different governments. So as per the ratio of total supplies made by taxable person to each of the states in that financial year. In that financial year, that supplier would have paid to different governments, right? So go in that ratio and give to different. If that supplier has paid only to 3 governments, give it only to those 3 states. If the supplier has made supplies only to 3 states, within his state and outside his state only 2 states, distribute it among only those 3 states in that ratio based on that financial year. Now, the last and final possible scenario. If taxable person is not identifiable, forget about place of supply. If you cannot even find out taxable person, there is no question of finding out place of supply. Then the tax, such excess amount of tax will be given to all the states, union territory based on the ratio of immediately preceding financial year. They'll see how many what was the revenue of the states in the preceding financial year. That final residual amount will be given to all the states, union territory based on their revenue collection in the preceding financial year. Based on the revenue collection in the preceding financial year. And if at all that needs to be determined, for the time being, they will be giving ad hoc amount 50%. Till they know very clearly, they will give 50% they will give. But final settlement will happen in what way? Final settlement will happen in this step. If you know 50% will be taken by central government, 50% by state. If you know that particular state, give it to that particular state. TS and POS is known. If you know taxable, TP, if you know the taxable person but not POS, give it in the ratio to those states where you're talking about that taxable person paid to the respective states in that year. If you are not aware even of taxable person, give it to all the states and union territories based on the revenue collected during the preceding financial year. The same formula will be applied for interest, penalty, other amounts. So same thing will be applied for that also. The same formula, whatever you discuss, exactly the same formula will be applied. If at a later point of time that IGST which is distributed to different states is refundable, that amount will be again collected or appropriated. This was an excess IGST amount which was there. If finally you find that excess IGST amount which was given to the particular state or multiple states or all the states, is finally that is again refunded back. What will happen? Again that apportionment will be done. So that is all about your section 17 read along with section 18 where you are talking about transfer between the governments.